Just getting some balance of trade data coming through here for December. Negative deficit of $98.4 billion again for December trade balance in the U.S. We also got Canadian data coming through there, very slightly to the upside. Negative though for the U.S. again, 98.4 billion there. ADP employment change number out at 815, also higher than expected. 183,000 versus 120,000 expectation. That had the dollar higher, a little tiny move in the overall market downside on that number. Coming up a little bit later on, we'll get some Fed speak once again this morning, 9 o'clock. Barkin set to make some comments. Right at the open then, S&P Global Composite PMI. We'll get the final print then at 9:45, and then the ISM version coming up at 10 o'clock. So that 9:30 to 10 o'clock window, few data releases to come through. Overall, downside for the market here this morning. We're trying to get back higher right now for the NASDAQ, but Google downside, AMD downside off earnings for both of those, AVGO being dragged along with that group. Apple under pressure here this morning, possible new China probe into some of their dealings in China, so not good for Apple. So NASDAQ under pressure, it's 0.5%, so not a monstrous move, but worth noting. We'll talk about all those coming up. Uber as well, notably, pretty weak here. Just reported pre-market this morning, a miss across the board for Uber.
Yeah, a bit of a tougher look there for Uber, Brendo. Lots to talk about today. Disney also reporting in the morning. We'll keep an eye out on that. It's down about 1 1/3, and then we have more coming out of China with respect to the de minimis rule, so the export rule under $800. Looks like the United States Postal Service will no longer be accepting those shipments coming from PDD, AliExpress, Shein, and the like. So we'll keep an eye on that. And Snapchat reporting a bit of a zig and zag with red. Now it's green again. It looks like it's flat, Brendo. Lots and lots to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, the initial move for Snapchat, a good one to the upside in a pretty big way here. We're back down. I mean, we've given all that back in a little bit. So 0.4 right now, positive, which is good for Snap. Uber, though, continuing here. I'm just hearing to the downside. Yeah, back below 66 for Uber, continuing downside. That has lift under pressure this morning as well. Nowhere near as much, but Uber, pretty ugly, guys. 5.5% here. Good morning.
Good morning. I mean, Uber 5.5%. That ain't that. That's not that bad. Not when Google kind of takes it on the chin, catching some strays because good is not great enough. Is the way best. I'm trying to use some G words in there, but good report is not great enough for Google. So they're down 8%. AMD's the one that got woodshedded, I think, the most. So Uber down 5 or 6, not that big of a deal, but it's a big earnings day. Right as we came on air, I heard in my ear I'm pretty sure I heard that there was a possible resumption of some of these parcels that have been blocked coming from China. And the price action in PDD this morning would suggest that there's a pretty big recovery in that, just about like $5 off the bottom. So I'm gonna keep checking to see if that's actually true, because based on the price action, it would seem to me like PDD's got back up, and that might have happened this morning. But yeah, there's a lot to watch. It's the biggest earnings week in terms of like the volume and names that matter that we're gonna get, and that's reflected in the wealth of things to trade today. The CapEx spend on Google being positive, being big, or still big, being reiterated. You have Broadcom and Nvidia are both up on that. So it's not all completely doom and gloom. Like there's Nvidia, strong day yesterday, looking once again to be strong today. So there's going to be plenty for everybody. Probably something for the Bulls and the Bears on a day like today, right, Sean?
I would, yeah, I'm leaning more bearish today, but I think you're right. I mean, in the chip space, I was looking at Nvidia breaking above 120 and actually getting going one more time right now. Interesting story there, obviously, about China, as we're sort of hearing that in our ear as well. We'll watch. Oh, FXI is back to 32. Okay, I didn't actually even look at this yet. So here it comes back in, $32. We actually didn't mind this trade from the other day, but missed it because it didn't hit there. But here's the gap, right back into 32. We'll have to watch out for that one. Yeah, I mean, I feel... thanks for everybody who was watching the recap show again. We had a good one yesterday, and we had AMD, and we were talking all about that. And that was just like what started as, some exuberance there once it was first released, lasted about 10 minutes. And then we came, what's up, Randy? Then we came all the way in again on advanced micro devices, now down 10%. And what are stocks? What are stocks called when they go down 10%?
Ow.
No.
Ouch.
Say SSR.
Short sale restrict.
Wow. There. Yes, man. Yes, sir.
He even knows what it stands for.
Okay.
There's no stopping Randy.
This man, there is no
can't.
stopping this man. Randy, how's it going?
Need coffee?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that would be.
all
Do
about
you need
coffee.
coffee as well? Okay.
This is looking a little empty.
You need to get one of those big Take 10s or whatever from Tim Hortons.
Yeah.
We do that in the holiday. Well, we've done it before. When the machine breaks down, that's what we always do.
A 5-gallon bucket of coffee.
You want to get one of those?
Yeah.
Trader TV Live can pay
There
for
we go.
that.
But Timmy's is, I don't know.
Okay, well, there we go.
Timmy's over.
You don't have to go there. That's unless you want to. Okay.
That'll work.
Well,
As long as
well, we'll take some of those
you have to
super
get the
chats.
dark roast.
I said we're going to
You got to get the dark roast.
I said we're putting those super chats to work.
There it is. You got to spend them on something.
So there it is. Okay, AMD just right now getting down that 10%. So, I mean, as you can see, there's the move. The 52-week low was 112. We're going to be all over this. We do have Raheem Alani scheduled to come through as well. I don't know if he's going to be talking about AMD, but it was just on the top of my mind because I know a lot of you are excited to hear from that man. But yeah, it doesn't look like it wants to get above this 109. Past 52-week high, or low, sorry, was 112.80. That was crushed. I don't know. Like, I was looking over the numbers, and we're going to go over them, but it didn't seem like it was overly that bad. I mean, they beat 109 versus 108. Sales was fine. It was more the guide and then the growth. Like, I feel like everything's just unraveling, like, right in front of our face right now, I feel like, in this space. Like, this has been really a bad ride. Like, I remember PayPal went up and then whoosh, like all the way down, and I just like worry that this is what's happening. And then I think about it, and I think about my positions, Google, and then I have some AMD, but it's not. And then it's Nvidia is another big one. Meta's, these are all big positions. And then I think, oh my God, like the sky is falling. And then I look over here at the ES, and it's just down 0.38. So it's like the most recent purchases that I've been making have been in the indexes, and I think that's something that we might have to start to look at with a lot of the volatility in some of these big, huge names. Hard to invest in them around earnings. I think once the earnings are out and you get, like now, AMD, Neil, down 10% might be, or I mean, I don't know, is it a better investment today than it was yesterday? It may be worse, because now you see the numbers. I
think it's worse.
But at least now you get that haircut and you think, okay, you know, you put 10% in your pocket and you take a shot from here. I mean, is there going to be a bounce back? Have you looked at it? I have not looked at Intel.
I've been looking at the channel AMD's in, and until that channel breaks, you buy the bottom of it and sell the top. The bottom of the channel, AMD's been in the same channel since October. And now the bottom of that channel is $95 on the daily. So if it ain't breaking out the top of this thing, and it's been a sell every time it gets up here, and it's been a buy every time it hits the bottom of the channel. But even then, like your buys are what, like $7 there, and these are like trending up, like $7 there. Here 116. That's the best one. It goes 116 to 131, bottom to top. Yet another one didn't quite get to the bottom, but held support. Like that went $9. So, like I'm not saying it gets to $95 today, but I mean, it's held this exact same channel for so long. Why not expect it? And I also did not look at Intel. So someone in the chat, I just saw this. Shout out to everyone in the chat, because we get some fun stuff in there. If you want to be in the chat, it's a subscribers-only chat. So hit that subscribe button. You found the best and realest trading show out there. Or we're going to be all over the markets. I admit, I didn't look at Intel today. See, the difference between Intel and AMD, well, Intel's been doing worse for longer, so it seems like it's found a base down here until this breaks 18.5, which I feel like we've been saying this. No, it's not. I feel like we've been saying this. We've been saying this for months now with Intel in this like 18.5, 19 zone. You know, it's trying to bounce off it. You're getting some wins in a day trade or maybe like a short swing trade perspective. Like Intel's been getting a bit of a base, but I just saw it in the chat. Someone said AMD is the New York Jets. My first thought is, if AMD is the Jets, then who's Intel supposed to be? Because you know I'm a Bills guy, so as far as I'm concerned, like the Jets are always gonna be, to me, like, you know, down as far as you can get.
Yeah,
I get the Patriots are probably worse now.
The Jets is a tough comparison for any stock at this point.
It's cold.
It's cold as ice, but
they're not. I don't know. They're not the Jets.
Look, energy moving, U.S. dollar moving. I mean, everything's going right now. Nasdaq down 0.67 right now. Apple down 2%. Joe making an appearance. What's up, Joe? You know, like we're excited. Bitcoin now breaking under 99,000 now at 98.5. I mean, it's never boring. That's the thing about what we're doing here. It's like every day you come in, and it's like the Super Bowl almost every day. Like honestly, because any stock here, there's a great opportunity to trade every day. It's just a matter of what are you looking at, and is something setting up for your liking. I mean, that's what we're doing right now. Join us all, obviously, on social media. You'll get some of our trade ideas right there. But there it is. Okay, yeah, advanced. Yeah, we had coined this a while ago. This was a couple earnings ago, I believe. And I was just on the big desk, and it was AMD, and I had said advanced money destroyer. And that was probably when this thing was like at 160 or something. Now you're starting to head lower. I don't think we're going to get that much lower than this. I would think that you can get a bounce at the 10% mark for AMD, but only time will tell on this one. Yeah, gold. That was another one. And I said a couple weeks ago that I thought that finally there was a spot in your portfolio, especially with the new administration and what's been happening here all around the world. There looked to be, and I had never invested in gold, finally a spot in the portfolio for gold, and look what that's been doing here on GLD. We talked about that down into here, and then it's basically been 2 weeks of absolute monstrous plays. Oh, you didn't get the Tim Hortons. That's fine. Monstrous plays up there through the most recent high of 258. So there she goes right there. Thanks, Randy. There it goes straight up to the upside on gold right now. So yeah, I was actually just talking about energy. Of course, Randy wants to. You have Neil has XO.
I'm just pulling it up now. I didn't realize it was. Oh yeah,
110 again.
That'll work. Sometimes it's just about knowing where the stock has buyers, right? Like forget about. Someone just asked in the chat, like, what are your levels for Walmart? Asking me, I'm like, Walmart's at all-time highs. I don't like what levels are there when you have all-time highs. If you got like Fibonacci's or some things that you can throw out there above, fine. But stocks like XOM or Fibonacci's,
yeah.
Stocks like XOM, they'll just sort of show themselves that they have buyers at certain prices, like 105, 106. It bounces off that again. Here's your problem, Randy. Last time we bounced it, we lost the 50-period moving average. To me, it's mattering when it loses it here, then you get your biggest down move, and all of a sudden you're resisting the 50-period. So you get a couple closes above the 50. And maybe breaking out another top, and I think it would look a little bit better than energy. Just can't seem to get the energy stocks can't seem to get going right now. Whether it's XOM, whether it's Chevron, you're getting nice little bounces for value, but there's really not much follow through yet. I still think there's going to be a good trade there, but you're really having to wait this one out. At least you get a dividend while you wait. There's that.
Yeah, you get the dividend there. Dividend barely covering inflation. Okay, let's go back over to the desk and get rid of us for now.
All right. Meanwhile, ACB, weed, 31.5% here to the upside for Aurora Cannabis on an earnings beat. Cool. Say it ain't so. 50% increase in medical cannabis net revenue year over year. What a move. 350 up to 450. Can you sense the sarcasm?
Yes, I can. This reminds me of the pandemic all over again over here. ACB, I don't remember where this was trading. But let's talk about how it did, Brendo. It's breaking some technical levels here. It's on its way to $5. You can see we kind of topped out there in early January at that 480 area. Let's see if we can close above it. But yeah, record 88.2 million.
Slow down, Sherry, slow down.
I'm so used to saying 800 something, not 88 million. It's a
record
Mouse number.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, guys, 88.2 million Canadian dollars, by the way, in net revenue. That's up 37% year over year. And they're looking good here for Q3 of 2024. They're exceeding what the street was looking for, Brendo. $82.5 million projected. As you said, medical cannabis added $68 million to that bottom line. The top line with a 51% year over year growth. So good luck. Well, the Edmonton-based company finally catching a bit of a tailwind.
Yeah, I mean, not a bad look looking, I mean, we'll see if it holds, but not a bad looking start to the day. Meanwhile, chart of the day is this one. If you haven't done so yet, help us out, guys. We're getting super close here to a huge milestone. Less than 100 to go to 498,000. So help us out if you haven't done so. Hit subscribe. Come join us every single day. That's a great looking chart. That needs to be bought itself, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Almost there. Under 2 to go.
I pity the fool that doesn't hit the like and subscribe button.
You better believe it. Were we going to get to 500,000 first, or is ACB going to get to $5 first is what I want to know. I'm surprised. I just literally assumed this thing had a 20 or 30% short float. It's actually only 9%, believe it or not, on ACB. Just thought for sure it had to be higher than that. This is, they did do a reverse split, just to remind everybody, so there actually are some interesting post-split levels, but we're so far away from them. This could be interesting today. I mean, obviously, there's so many things doing earnings. This is now held. Like, look at it hug VWAP, even back here. So, yeah, I mean, if this can hold on to VWAP at the open, I don't see a reason why not to just throw it into the bucket of small caps that you'd play. It's an earnings play, but it's done 4 or 5 million shares. Now, we've seen them go before. I don't know about staying power or sustaining anything, but at least for a day trade, you know, I think you do a heck of a lot worse. It's not like there's a ton that's super bullish right now. Like there's Nvidia, Broadcom, and a couple of small caps out there. Throw ACB in the mix, and why not? I mean, we didn't even talk about Chipotle. Chipotle's down like 5% today, and that chart doesn't look very good. There's a lot of names, and I don't know, like 80% of them are down. This is what you want to see, and still holding trend. I wouldn't personally take a break up here, only because it is an earnings reaction, and a lot of times it's a little different from your standard move on a small cap. But yeah, this VWAP looks pretty good for now.
I just want to show, because this is Aurora Cannabis. So if you go back to when, you know, if we come over here, Fabian, to the weekly chart, this is Aurora Cannabis basically back in the day. This is 2017. It went up to $1,500. Now, this is obviously it didn't because these are split adjusted prices. But like that's 1,400, 1,500, 15 and change. Nice little bounce up again to 1,200. Now remember, this has been reverse split. So the fact that we're down here at $3 right now just shows you this. So when we go into a daily chart, sure, it looks a little more reasonable right now, taking out that $5 mark. Yeah, someone also in the chat said, how do we have 500,000 subscribers, but we have 400 likes right now? So, you know, right now, 4,400 or so watching. What's up, Fabian? Let's get these likes going a little bit. You know, if you're watching, please hit it, like, subscribe, do all of that. Let's get going on that one if you can. Day 2 play, going to be all over this one, I think, too. I want to see Palantir down there at, get rid of this Aurora Cannabis chart. I want to see Palantir down here at $100. I want to see what it looks like, and then what we wind up doing. Because yesterday there, again, it doesn't matter. I wasn't here for this, but that was the low also that was made right down here somewhere. Once that chart loads, right here in the pre-market. So, or actually right at 9:30 hit, basically. Always hard to sit in a stock once earnings are there for that first 2 minutes, but it did give us that $100 bottom again yesterday before making the move to 108 and then pulling all the way back and then basically just figuring itself out in the afternoon and didn't have an answer. So right now it's doing the same thing. It's really kind of just chilling right now, and I would think the sellers come in here with the NASDAQ down 0.7. So I would say that Palantir gets sold off the open, and it wouldn't be surprising. Like I thought today, with tech getting hit, Apple, and just a broad sweeping move on tech, that Palantir, after a 23% close yesterday, would be down more than this. So I could see sellers coming into Palantir relatively early. So I have it written down as $100 long on the sticky note, and I'm just getting that all figured out very, very soon. So, yep, we'll get that all figured out very, very soon. All right, so that's a couple things that we're looking at, and then if just because we just talked a little bit about Apple, just let me know, Andre, when you guys are ready up there. We can go over immediately. So that's 233. There's the dip buy in Apple down to 226. We had seen these moves before. The low in Apple, we're not too far away from that sort of bottom there, and everyone was, man, we missed it. Well, now you're $5 away from not missing it again. So I think if you are looking to bid something now, this is near the 200 period moving average. We had talked about maybe looking there. Their earnings are already behind them. So we've seen that move. We've seen that huge sort of exuberation there, and then all the way back in the key level of 220 held by the 200 period moving average. So I don't know. If you were short AMD and you want to get money back in somewhere, I don't know if today would be the day, but Apple down 2% gives you something to look at.
Or Google, too.
Or Google, yeah. I mean, the only thing about Google is it's earnings day.
It's earnings day. It hasn't settled down.
Yeah, I just don't know if that flush is coming. I have to play on Google.
It is at the 50 period almost on Google as well. So you kind of like those levels.
The thing with Apple is, remember, it's the 200 period.
Yeah, I like the 200 way better than I like the 50. It's interesting that AMD is kind of flatlining down here. Like you juxtapose AMD, which is not doing much on a gap down, versus Uber, which has a ton of movement in the morning here. Now, obviously, it's because they reported this morning, but
I think Nasdaq can
like
go back.
Uber's gone 64 to 68 to 64 to 68, and then back into 65. So Uber certainly has maybe not. It's got a lot of volume as well. A lot of dark pools going off this morning, but it's trying to hold the 50 period. It's got the 64 that has bounced a few times. I like the volatility that you're seeing in Uber. I think if it's already giving you $3-4 moves on a $60 stock, it's got to be on your radar. Obviously, it has earnings, so it's on your radar too. And for everyone there's a couple of people that have asked about this. If you see any of these types of, like this print in here, or maybe go into like Google, if you see it on your chart here, I'll just pull the black chart up. Some of these like late reporting dark pools, especially when a stock has a big range, like you'll see like crazy wicks like that. But when there's no corresponding volume that it didn't do that move. Google actually bouncing a little bit here as well. Google off the bottom at 190.
That's not a real.
Can you imagine if you could get those fills?
I know. That was
back in the.
That was actually on Trade Ideas. There was a bunch last night.
Yeah,
too.
Back in the day when you actually had, before there was Reg NMS, and there was trade through on gateways, there was stuff like that where you would sort of, like every now and then if a stock got a little volatile, you'd sit outside the book on a certain gateway and maybe you get a little bit of an arb fill. But nowadays, those are just late reporting dark pools. That's all it is, going back into yesterday's close for Google. But yeah, you've got to be paying attention to all of these earnings names. But don't forget the day two, because as Sean mentioned, Palantir was a huge mover. That 100 was great. Got to look there again. PayPal also had a monster move yesterday. It's day two SSR.
Forgot about that one.
It's near a very key low at I think it was like $76 is a key low for PayPal. So we're going to have that on the radar as well.
Raheem is back, as promised. We're going to touch on more tariff talk. I mean, it's been, 48 hours? It seems like a lot has changed in that 48 hours. But I think it's an opportunity for people to reassess and say, okay, we have 30 days. Is there something that I need to do between now and potentially when something could happen?
Yeah.
There's also obviously a really good chance, I think anyways, that nothing could happen at this point.
I wouldn't say that out loud, but yeah, just in case he's listening.
I think I just
don't want
to. We'll start with energy here.
Yeah.
Obviously, one of our biggest exports, along with some raw materials that we'll get into a little bit as well. But as a whole, how will the energy sector be affected here specifically? And then we'll touch on a few individual names.
Yeah, we chatted about this a little bit earlier on when we were speaking about tariffs. And if you look at where WTI is at 71.50, you take into account, your discount around 15. A 10% tariff is going to be about 560 that you're going to have to add on. And what people need to really comprehend is someone has to pay that 560. Yeah. What a lot of people don't really take into account, oh yeah, somebody will pay for it, that guy will pay for it. No, it's going to come at the pump. And the pump's going to pay for it. You're going to pay for it. So will that affect your demand as a consumer in the U.S.? Will that change how you look at things? Will that affect how you call your politician and say, I'm now paying $4.20 a gallon versus $4 a gallon? And that can be, a 5% delta, a 10% delta, could be a big number for your home. And so that's where you really got to start to think about how that'll affect things. And like we talked about briefly earlier, is Europe isn't driving as much right now. They typically come on in the summer. When they start driving, they're going to need oil, and where's that going to come from? So Canada is a big supplier of oil product to the U.S. It is one of our biggest clients and consumers, obviously. So how will that affect oil and gas pricing, like we talked about briefly earlier? Will Trump be able to find another source outside of Canada, or are they just going to make nice and make it happen?
Drill, baby, drill, right? A few individual names to consider here. MEG, the first one, MEG in Toronto, Athabasca and Suncor as well. But I mean, some of these still, yes, they've had a bit of a pullback here. That's a 15-minute chart, but it looks good still.
Yeah, and then so these we're just looking at just from the basis of a trade and what's happened since, it's been since Monday. Right?
Yeah.
So in the last 48 hours, like you said, it seemed like it's been about a month and a half.
Yeah.
It's only been 48 hours. And if you look at a name like MEG, it's one of the larger energy plays. But the reason we thought it was interesting was because of the fact that so much of their business is derived from the U.S. in sending oil and gas product to the U.S. And again, Monday, it dipped down to 23.20. Doesn't sound like a big number, but it's up to 24.2 today. So making $1 on a large cap Canadian oil and gas name within 48 hours is a big move. Traded as low as 22 on the year, up to 32. So depending on which way you think this is going to go, if you take the Brendan school of thought that nothing's going to happen, maybe we move back into the 30s. If we take the the U.S. school of thought that everything's going to happen, there's a dip below back where we are getting close to that. We're 10% off the 52-week lows. So just names like that, just do your homework and then literally flip your coin on which way you think this is going to go and invest accordingly.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone has one or a few of these in a portfolio in their investments currently, we woke up on Monday and I noticed an Enbridge was down huge, banks were down huge on this. So a lot of people are saying, wait, should I be adjusting here a little bit?
Yeah, and then these are the opportunities because they have traded lower on this whatever potential thing might come. So you see some of these names. Again, it's a 10 or 15% delta. Doesn't sound like a lot if you're swinging on small cap names, but on large cap names, if you can pick up a 10 or 15% delta in the matter of a couple of days, depending on which way the news flow goes, those are great opportunities.
All right, Athabasca, talk about that one a little here.
Same thing, big U.S. exposure. Traded up to 494 back last night, got up to 490, 494, but traded as low as 407 on Monday. So again, if you look at the fact that you could have made a 27% swing, depending on which way you viewed what was going to happen with the U.S., you could pick up a quick 20%. And again, will that move back up into the 520s where it was on its 52-week high? Will it go back down to as low as $4 on its 52-week low?
So many of these charts, and this is what I was talking about, so many of these charts have this giant gap in them now.
Yeah.
There we go. So a huge gap down 2 days ago, and now we're right back to, as we were saying, basically as you were.
Let's send it out to the audience. Come up with a name for the Monday gap. We'll just forever call that, the whatever
Reversal.
name you give it. We'll just use that again from now on. Anytime I come on, we'll just call it that name.
The other angle here, which you and I were discussing before we came on, I mean, Suncor is going to be, more or less the same. The other angle here, which you made a good point, was, you go into the gas station to fill up your car, you're paying 25% more for the price of gas. Chances of you running into the store to pick up gum or, as you said, a Red Bull, that type of discretionary spending is going to be lessened, if not out the window entirely.
Yeah, there's the general oil and gas ones that we talked about, but there's these fine-tuned little details that you could pick up, like an Element and Couche-Tard. So Couche-Tard generates 65% of their revenue from the U.S. And they own, for our friends in the U.S. and Canada, they own the convenience stores that are associated to gas stations in a lot of places. And again, to your point now, if gas goes from $4 to $4.20 a gallon, you've just spent an extra $6-7 at the pump. Are you going to go run in and buy a Red Bull, a pack of gum, whatever that is? So those revenues that were kind of discretionary, Neil's on his way home, his wife said, you forgot milk. Yeah, I'll pick it up I'm getting gas, I might as well. Now you might say, well, I'll pick it up, I don't know if your wife gets the milk or you do. I don't know. I'm just putting it out there. Sorry to air your dirty laundry. It's that point. Will you then go somewhere else to save $1 or $2 because you just spent a lot? So Couche-Tard is a name that is very heavily U.S. skewed because of where the revenue comes from and just literally touch point to gas.
On that note, if we are looking at maybe cheaper alternatives, a Dollar Tree, a dollar type store, regardless of what they are, could be a benefit here?
Yeah, so again, same thing is, like we talked about with inflation and interest rates, when those things come into play, people do look for slightly more affordable alternatives. Like if you look at the Loblaw group of companies, people might not shop at Loblaws, they might go to No Frills or Superstore because they are the discounted. They are the discounted elements of that. So they have companies like that have different ways to offset that. And then you look at a Dollarama. Dollarama's stock has what, $138, as low as 98, up to 150. So that's a name that can kind of fight those inflationary pressures. But now you add in a second element of tariffs and how that's going to work, because a lot of the goods do come from the U.S., do come from Mexico, do come from China. And if all of them are fighting over tariffs and tariffing each other, how is that going to now affect your widget that you're buying at the dollar store from a cost point of view? So will your $1.50 toothpaste might go to $1.60, $1.75? Again, how will those numbers come in addition to consumer discretionary?
I mean, let's be honest, Dollarama is kind of
$9
$4 at least at this point. But yeah, this is another one.
Couple of Dollarama.
Yeah, there's another one with that huge, weird-looking, ugly gap down candle on Monday. But
right.
I mean, it's interesting from the retail side of things. Touch on maybe just mining in general here across the board. I think there's a lot still up in the air. I mean, we gave that lumber example going back 2 days ago, but I mean, there's so many other things that can fall into that.
Yeah, every element. Again, you look at just China. I got an email from a client yesterday night saying, "Are you looking at tungsten assets for a couple of transactions?" And I said, "Yeah, we are." He said, "Oh, well, China just announced they're not going to allow tungsten to go out because they're ticked off with everybody, and they're going to keep certain materials there." Yeah. The U.S. wants to start now, like you said, drill, baby, drill, and create a place where they can get their own access to reserves. And so how will all those fine-tuned things play out? BC just announced they're going to, and BC never does this, they just announced that they're going to fast-track a bunch of permits for mining and energy. I think it was a total of 14 that they're going to fast-track because they want all of these things to come into production, both on the oil and gas side and on the metals mining side. And permits and environmentals are typically the thing that always holds things up. And now we're going to need copper, zinc, lithium, uranium, tungsten. All of those things are going to be of importance both for Canada to use itself, but for, again, Canadian listed stocks that have assets in Ghana, as an example, in Siberia, wherever you want to look. This is a mining hub. So which countries will decide to play nice because they need materials from each other? That's going to be a really interesting thing to see. If the U.S. decides to tariff the EU, what are they going to do? Are they going to get, again, insular? Are they going to look at keeping their mining product inside and not have it available to others going forward?
I mean, as we said, it's one of those things that's changing by the hour almost, and will most likely continue to change by the hour as we head towards this.
We have 720 hours, 694 hours left.
And is that going to be enough? We don't know. So it's one of those things that's very, very liquid and will continue to be over the coming weeks. We appreciate you coming in today. You had a somber day yesterday and wanted to give a shout out to a few people here.
Yeah, I'm an Ismaili Muslim, and the spiritual leader of the Ismaili community, His Highness the Prince Aga Khan, passed away yesterday at the age of 88. So it was a very somber day for the Ismaili community, as well as for the global community. He's been our spiritual leader since 1957, so 68 in his 68th year of this role, and he's led the Ismaili community to where we are now. So some people might know who our community is. Helped shepherd us into Canada, as an example. We're in 35 different countries. And he's led such a global exploration for us as a community and helped shepherd us into all these different places. The Aga Khan Development Network, one of the largest philanthropic organizations around. Again, a footprint here in Canada is big. He's got the Global Center for Pluralism, the Aga Khan Museum, the Ismaili centers that have been established here, and in a number of countries. So it was a very sad day. But it was a celebration of his life as well, for all the things that he's done for the global community, not just for us Ismailis, but for every community that is in need.
We appreciate the insight, as always. Rahim Alani, Managing Director over at OCI. Thanks.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yeah, thanks as always, Rahim, and great words about the Aga Khan. Much appreciated for sure. And one of the things that I know Brendan was talking about, all those charts, and what happened on the trade war day, I actually don't... Look, I think to really get a feel for it, because we were mentioning this for anybody that was at Real Trading, or it didn't have to be Real Trading, but primarily, because I know a lot of people trade Toronto in here. What we actually saw at the open on that day, like this is Enbridge and this is real. When things were gapped down and there was a tariff on Canada, the Canada tariff, this is Enbridge, which is a big, massive energy company here in Toronto. It's dual listed. But that is open, and that is the move up. It was very real, all of these moves. And you saw some of the banks do the same thing. And I think we kind of slept on this. Like, here's Royal Bank. That's real. That's it opening. That's it just immediately just running $5 to the upside. And the next time we see something like that, I mean, you might see us talk about Toronto, because I have never seen, and it's not just Enbridge and Royal Bank. I could have pulled up a wealth of other stocks here in Toronto that all had similar looks. Enbridge is the one that stood out. And it was just unbelievable, the opportunities. I know we bounced in the U.S. markets as well, but it was an unbelievable rally at the open of panic on the gap down and everyone market buy, and there was just nobody on the offer if you get a chance to ever get in, and those were opening prints all the way down there. So you got to be able to you always want to be willing to move into any market that's going to give you an opportunity. Here at Real Trading, we can trade Toronto same as we trade anything else. There's liquidity on these names as well. It just hadn't seen anything like that. Next time we gap down like that, got to pay a little more attention.
Yeah, I was able to get filled on some of those, so that was actually pretty good. Yeah, but just looking here, talking about some imports and exports, the name that right now is on a lot of traders' minds is, as I see the chat here, Tesla down 1.3%, double what the market is down as well. So 388 right there as a top. We'll see if it comes back in. That is going to be on today's sticky note for Tesla. Watch out, 389, the 200 period moving average. We'll see if it can, last above 390 here today. But it does look like we do have a continuation move here for Tesla. Nice move into the close yesterday, or else it would have been, a lot worse. I mean, you did have that push. I mean, we talked about it, breaking through 400 there, tried to get back up again, and then there's that little whoosh down, and then again right now. So it still actually looks pretty strong if we can get something down here around that same level that we keep on talking about, 85s, 83s, decent long opportunities. But for now, as long as we're underneath 390, I still like the short, especially as I'm going to be writing right now on the note. As long as there's pressure on the NASDAQ, which it seems to be above VWAP up and above the 50 period. So right now, I think some of this pressure is coming off. I mean, we'll have to wait to see 25 minutes now until we open and 20 minutes until the imbalances. So yeah, it looks like right now the NASDAQ's doing okay off of some early morning numbers.
SMCI is moving here.
SMCI's
ramped up full production of NVIDIA Blackwell rack scale solutions with NVIDIA HGX B200 is the headline. SMCI up 3%. They did that update thing where you're gonna get some data next week on the 11th. They didn't call it earnings, but you're gonna get the results. So there it is, ramping full production of NVIDIA Blackwell rack scale solutions. NVIDIA HGX B200 up 3%. Pretty solid move for them. This is a stock that had been, didn't really do a heck of a lot yesterday, but now you're actually into that zone. This is where they faded it last time at 30.50. So SMCI going to be in play? Wow, there's just so much to look at, including the futures.
There always is.
Brief. 60.63, that's where we closed out yesterday on the ES March contract. We ended up defending that 6,000 point level, dropping to about 60.20. Overnight, the overnight high 60.53, so we're already using that 50-point level as resistance. If we continue to whiffle and waffle, we'll use that 60.20 overnight low as support and 60.53 as resistance. If we break through that, then we're going to look for 650 as support and then possibly 663 as resistance.
We'll just start calling this the Michael Noss. He was the one that I think initially said.
All right, guys, let's have a look. Brendo, get that watch list every day sent right to your inbox.
I was just saying we should just start calling this range the Michael Noss range. He was the one that coined that the third year of a bull market was typically choppy back and forth and playing out just like that. All right, let's go. Ton to look at this morning, 7.5% up there for Google right now to the downside. I mean, it was okay, I guess. It wasn't great, but it was okay.
I mean, there was a couple of standouts here. The one that really gets your attention is cloud. They've been taking a lot of market share away from AWS, away from Azure. They've been growing at a faster rate. That stopped yesterday, Brendo. So Google Cloud missed 11.96 billion the street was looking for. They printed 11.96. The street was looking for basically 12.2 billion. So it was a miss there. Revenue beat, net income beat, EPS beat. Everything was good. AI capital expenditures, they're looking about 75 billion in 2025, higher than what the street was looking for. The street was looking for a little bit less than 60 billion. With respect to Waymo expansion, because this is what people have been talking a lot about lately. Now we're looking at Los Angeles, San Francisco, Phoenix. They're going to be launching in Austin and Atlanta. And believe it or not, they're going to even go international. Tokyo being spoken about here as a possible destination. And they're teaming up with Uber in certain jurisdictions. Not all, certain ones.
You know what I want?
What?
Toronto. When's that happening? Google's Gemini as well. Get ready. Here comes ads if you're using Gemini right across the board. That was from Sundar on the earnings call as well. So, I mean, one of the things that I think OpenAI has kind of played with but never really opened the door to is the monetization of how they're going to actually make money off of this. So this appears to be something that Google is thinking about at least as well. 190, guys, maybe?
First off, monetize everything. Go ahead and do it. That's all. That's what you want to see. You as a shareholder, yes, get that money. So for today, look, first things first, if this stock loses the 50-period moving average today, I am probably I'm putting a stink bid. It's not going to the 200-period moving average, but this is one of those like auto 200-period moving average buys. So get that out of the way. But for now, it's all about the 50-period, which sits just above 188. Like you can see the support in here, 187.5, 188, 50 periods down there as well. Like that's where I'm looking for kind of like a dip and rip, find some kind of a bottom on it. It wouldn't actually be SSR until 185.40 or something like that. I don't know. It's just above 185 quarter, but underneath 185 half. Just do the quick math there. If Google goes down 10%, would I look for an SSR bounce? Yes, that's low-hanging fruit. That could be a 185 even, but I'm looking for dip buys first around that 50-period moving average where we've had support on Alphabet.
Look, for me, I think it was a pretty... I wrote down today on the sticky note here that we'd have to try to be patient with today and that these earnings... are giving us a look of negativity, but I'm not sure the market really is. I think we have to be patient. And I'm actually flipping it over and thinking that Google can get a long break. If we break 194 and don't go, you have to get out relatively quickly. I'm almost thinking $1 worth of spot there, but it has to hold 190 there at open. Go over at Trader TV Channel, you can find out those ideas. But if we don't hold this 190 off the open, then it's, as Neil said, you know, how low can we go? And I mean, I don't know where that bottom will be if we do break that because we're underneath everything. So the minute we break that, it's game over. I just don't know. I don't want to say game over. It's just there goes the plan because it's supposed to hold something. If it doesn't hold 190, then we're like, okay, where does it hold then? And then we got to sort of go back and see like that wicked bottom is still 190. These are all 190s. These bottom wicks down there is 187.50. So that to me would be sort of that next area of concern. Look, we're up 35% since Thanksgiving. It was a nice move from 160 up to 210. We had talked about it being sort of extended there. It had a nice 5 days maybe right there to the upside. To pull back in, I think it's relatively healthy to pull back into these levels. I looked at the numbers. I mean, what they miss in cloud, they make in YouTube. We talked about YouTube being quite large, but at the same time, cloud's been bad, right? We saw Microsoft downside. You see Amazon on the number yesterday, made a nice move down there for AWS. So it's a very, very crowded.
Clouded works.
Wait a minute, the clouded is crowded? Something like that, we'll figure that out. But it's a crowded area right now in the cloud. And honestly, Google, I'm not in love with it. I'm already sort of full with my Google position in many of these tech names, which is why I'm looking towards more index names that are not named NASDAQ. So for right now, we'll wait at that. I'm just never full enough of Palantir, man. I always want to wish we had some more of that one. But we'll talk about...
It's all
Palantir
it's GAO
after this list. GAO. there. Well, actually, and Google's wrong. I mean, it should be. We could put alphabet.
Oh, it should have put alphabet on there.
It's right because we're using symbols, but
We should've-
you know what I mean. Then we could have had all A's there, and then we could have had boo for Uber. But okay, so there it is. I like Google. Oh yeah, so I didn't even tell you my trade actually. Say, let's go quickly to that and we'll go back. I think this break of 194, I like this long rate there. If we can break above, there's the 200 period moving average. It's not going to be really that true. I don't know if I have even 200 data points there, but if I do, then it's fine. But at the end of the day, this 193.50, I would love to see that break through, and then we'll take a 194, then use this area of 193 as our out. So I already have a stop order to go. If it breaks higher, I want to buy 194s. I just don't want to do it at 925. I want to do it either at the open or hopefully build into that break. So yeah, that's my play for Google. I'm not looking short immediately.
Just a heads up for anyone watching, Uber CEO on CNBC currently for UBER. A couple other things. Just hearing February 7th, Canadian-U.S. Economic Summit, which is 2 days from now. So maybe we'll get more details on what's to come. Let's go to AMD here. Downside in a pretty big way as well, pushing 10%. We've already been there on that last little push to the downside. 107.80 trying to hold right now. This, on the other hand, not good. Forecast a problem here for AMD. Data centers, too, with kind of...
That's the thing, Brendo. Yeah. That's the one that stands out here. So revenue was a beat. Earnings per share was a beat. Net income, for whatever reason, was down markedly year over year. They printed $667 million in take-home money, only $428 this time. Q1 2025 outlook, good. They're looking for $7.1 billion. The street was looking for $7 billion. But this is where it kind of gets a little bit dicey. The data center revenue, $3.86, which was a healthy 69% year-over-year growth, but that missed the analyst estimates handily there. They were looking for $4.1 billion. We're looking for that MI300X, which is their response to the H100, to gain more traction with the likes of Meta and Amazon, some of these other hyperscalers. Now, with respect to the other segments, PC and laptop sales under the client, that was good as well. $2.3 billion there, up 58% year over year. But down is gaming, down is embedded chips, Brendo. A bit of a mixed report.
Yeah, whether or not we hold this 10% area, guys, remains to be seen still.
I think.
Yeah, I mean, it could open up and never be.
It's funny because both these names haven't really moved in the pre-market, have they? Really? I mean, Google,
AMD's really
kind of just chilling out.
Like it's a little surprising. We're showing the difference. Well, I guess we'll get to Uber very quickly at the end there. Like the actual volatility and movement in Uber is much more extreme. And when you're gliding down like this, I think just play it gentle. Like 111, look, it was more like 112, but look, it flat bottom broke. So it's a bit of a gap fill. So if we were to bounce a few percentage points, you're still underneath the gap if you get to 111, 112. And that's the usual look. And when you sit down and it's trading at 109, you think that's a probability. But I want to be looking for the short underneath that 111, maybe even 110. It's going to be a mean revert type of play because it'll probably have broken VWAP. So I think patience is required here. Like it's just not moving, which is weird to me. As far as like what I take an SSR bounce if it's down 10%, I'd probably look more to like 105 or like I don't think 100 gets there today, but I'd probably look more at a 105 level for that on AMD. As far as any long term, I'm respecting this channel until it proves otherwise. You know, it's just that simple. If it breaks out the top of this channel, I think that's the time to look for a long, or it gets to the bottom of the channel, which, as I said earlier, is now $95 as it gets steeper and steeper to the downside.
Look, yesterday, unfortunately, I caught a lot of slack in the chat because I said AMD is probably a problem, and now today it is a problem. And I think that sucks because I would have loved for this space to continue to its upside. But, I mean, charts don't lie, and this has been all the way to the downside there. You did have a great chance to break that. It tried it at 125 there. Then all of a sudden, the sellers just came right back for this. I think it's probably overdone to the downside, honestly. I mean, this $100 bounce could be pretty epic if we, I mean, 95, $100. I mean, that would be great. I am, whoops. I closed the chart by accident. All right, that's fine. I'll just open it back up. Solution. What I wanted to get at was The only name I said there's basically I want to be buying Broadcom and I want to be buying Nvidia. I've done the latter. I've bought Nvidia down there at that 118-ish. I think it was 118. We talked about buying Nvidia on that DeepSeek day. So whatever that price was, I buy it in Canada on the CDR. But at the end of the day, huge move down for Nvidia. Now big move back up. So as we keep talking about CapEx. Guys, people aren't buying AMD chips. Like when Google says they're doing $75 billion in CapEx, this is where it's going. And you see where else it's going, right? We've talked about AVGO as well. Look at these names, right? Both up 4% here, 2.5% with NVIDIA, and NVIDIA only getting stronger as we speak. So instead of worrying about these dog, you know what names right here like AMD not even moving in the pre-market because the thing about AMD is nobody wants to buy it and it's so bad that it's just so far down that like everybody that sold it might already be full. So I don't like where the buyers and where the sellers are at AMD. Like the AMD shorts are already winning. They could be full. This thing could fall. I don't know who's going to buy it. But at the end of the day, we know who's buying NVIDIA. We know who's buying NVIDIA's products and all hail because this one just continues to go north side here. I'm excited for their earnings report, but it's not until February 26th, I believe, right? Let me just double check that before. Is that confirmed? Okay, so I'm not even going to look it up because sometimes we're pretty good with numbers. So February 26th there, we'll see if this can get back up. But look how beat up NVIDIA is. I still feel like there's some kind of a thing to look at here around 116, 117 for possible bottom there. So yeah, looking pretty healthy over the last couple of days with NVIDIA. Again, I wonder if we just sell these pops because it's not the greatest environment right now, I feel like, especially with some of these earnings. But
I'm with you, Vicky.
If they're behind right now, the ball, then I just do worry. You know, you got a month here until NVIDIA. I guess we'll see what happens.
And more chip names to come. We got ARM tonight. They're actually ARM, Qualcomm actually reports tonight as well. Vic A likes ARM as well, which begins with an A, just like the next one on the list.
Real quick, there's news on BBAI we'll get to in a sec as well. First off, this portion of the show brought to you by Hive Digital Technologies. HIVE, the ticker on the NASDAQ. They're pioneering the digital transformation through sustainable AI solutions and Bitcoin mining, global leader in cutting-edge data center operations. With 2,700 Bitcoin on their balance sheet, Hive constantly tops industry in Bitcoin mined per exahash and is redefining the future by powering the world's most transformative technologies with efficient, green, and clean energy at Hive Digital Tech, or go to hivedigitaltech.com, sign up for their newsletter. BBAI just taking out the highs here. Nice move so far this morning, picking up a DoD contract to prototype geopolitical risk analysis. So Big Bear AI, for anyone not familiar with BBAI. So heads up there. Let's go to AVGO, another one looking pretty good this morning. So maybe AMD's loss is Broadcom's gain?
Here's the deal. So Google reported, obviously, as Sean mentioned yesterday, CapEx higher than analysts were looking for, and a lot of that will go to Broadcom. So here's the deal. They supply Google already with their custom-made chips, the TPU, the Tensor Processing Unit, which we've been hearing a lot more about in the past year. So that's being made by Broadcom. They're also looking to expand their relationship beyond Google. They want to make deals with Meta, ByteDance, Apple, and OpenAI. They're estimating growth potential here of $60 to $90 billion in a serviceable market from top customers. So expect possibly a revenue boost for 2025 when they report.
Let's maybe touch on Apple here as well, because we're getting on in time a little bit. China's antitrust regulator mulling a probe into Apple's App Store fees, specifically creating a potential regulatory hurdle. It's not something we haven't heard in the past. It's just a matter of if and when this actually happens. So notable 2% here, guys, downside for Apple today.
Thank you, Brendan. Good idea. Like for Broadcom, it's up 4 points. It's a bit of a gap to the 227 level, 226, 227, the prior high. I just like Nvidia a little bit better today for the trade. I feel like it's getting going with a sizable runway to get to 26, 27 on any strength. You got a nice stair-step pattern up. I like 118. Obviously, we've just gone $3 from there, but that was the higher low that we put in yesterday. There was a dip into the open on NVIDIA, so I would, as usual, look for the initial dip buy. But 118 is now so far away. If it's not going to be support, then I like prior resistance turning into support, and that's going to sit at this 120. So I'm buying the dips in NVIDIA instead of Broadcom. As far as Apple goes, 226 Alamo for me on Apple. It bounced this morning at 226. It bounced yesterday. It bounced the day before at 226. So if you lose that, probably like 225.50, as you've had some wicks underneath there, I think Apple's in trouble. It's a reverse through that level, 225.5. But as long as it holds 226, I think there can be a long in Apple.
All right. So again, I just think what I keep saying all day here so far has been patience. The market's not doing anything. We said AMD's not doing anything. Apple's really not doing anything either, but we are down that 2%. So I always say, let's look for 200 period moving average. I think it's still a short underneath all of that. We just talked about Broadcom as well. Look, first of all, there's 20 seconds away. We'll get these imbalances. Yeah, I think this is another long. I mean, I just don't, there's not enough interest. Like right now, there's a lot of people looking at NVIDIA. It's moving straight up to the upside. This should be as well. I feel like, breaking through this 234 is definitely something you'd want to look at. And if you get a 234 break long, I think the 236 would be a decent spot to look to get something out if and when that does come through there for Broadcom. So that would be something to look at right there. Yeah. So I like the long there. I like the long here. I would not be shorting Broadcom at all. I saw Tesla just show up on my scanner there a little bit. Okay, so Palantir does get hit with a sell. So here comes the imbalance, and here comes the sell down for Palantir right now. We mentioned that, right? I said that. Earlier, there's AMD with a buy. I said, this is one of Palantir was up here, 102.50. I said, with the NASDAQ being up today, or down today, sorry, they might hit Palantir a little more. Palantir was only down 1.5%, now down 2 and bit. Chipotle, we didn't get to them, and we're going to go back to Brendo because we got to do Uber because that's moving around. Chipotle not moving too much, and then AMD gets a little bit of a bid there. Was at 107.50. I said, who's buying AMD? Apparently somebody is right now, but not too many shares. All right, I do not see. Oh yeah, there's Uber with a small. There's Uber with a small sell, but it made a nice move back up, man. This thing was down into the 65, 64 area, now trying to get green on the day. Not really. Still down 5% here, Brendo, for Uber.
Okay, it looks like Dara has finished the interview. He was on CNBC. CEO, 5% though. Tried to get it back above 66 here. It looks like it's working, kind of. We'll see what happens here as the market opens. But it wasn't all bad. They still beat revenue expectations, higher rides in the quarter as well.
It was a weak guidance for Q1, Brendo. That kind of pushed everything down. As you mentioned, revenue beating handily there on the top line, EPS as well on the bottom line, handily beating as well, even though they had about a $6.4 billion tax benefit. So that might be a bit of a one-off incident there. Net income, $6.9 billion. I think a year ago, we weren't even making profits in this company. So net income nicely up, $6.9 billion, up from $1.4 billion last year. Gross bookings, as you mentioned, up on year over year. But the guidance for Q1 2025, that's where it falls apart. Gross bookings lower than the expected number by the street. Now, here's how their segments did. Mobility up 18% year over year. Delivery also up 18% year over year. Freight remains the kind of the sticking point here, remains flat, 0% year over year growth. And there is the public launch of Waymo coming up here, the partnership with Waymo in Austin, Texas. So I want to take an opportunity to show this. So Uber's opening up what they call an interest list. It's for Austin users that want to be able to use Waymo. It's going to cover 37 square miles in Austin. And if you sign up for this interest list, you have a higher chance of getting paired with an autonomous vehicle. Doesn't mean you're going to get one, just a higher chance of getting one. It's only available, though, for Uber in Austin, so we'll have to see how that all works out.
We'll also see how Tesla responds in Austin, their hometown. Remember, guys, hit subscribe if you haven't done so. We are, 20 away from 498 right now on subscribers, so go hit subscribe if you haven't.
I pity the fool that doesn't hit the like and subscribe button.
That's what it's all about. Thank you very much, Brennan. But we'll see how Tesla responds out in Austin. The good thing about this is obviously the influence that Elon has, regulatory-wise, can they push through getting some of their ability to get their automation out there and on time, because we're expecting it mid-year. But it's an Uber story. It's already bounced a couple of times off the 64 and 65 levels here on Uber. This has been support. a couple of times and in a while. So that's the first place I'd look for a dip buy on Uber. I really feel like we're going to be busy with NVIDIA, Apple, Alphabet at the open here, Palantir 100 as well. So there's going to be a lot to watch. I don't know if Uber is going to be there for me, but if it does make the dip, that's where I would be looking to pick it up on any kind of bounce. It's shown support there before.
Yeah, I mean, we nailed PayPal yesterday to the long, and it was a top stock for us, and it was only longs, and then eventually it lost $80, and we wound up getting out. So I feel like the same thing here for Uber. If we come back into 64, I'm actually bidding like 64 flat, 64.25. So if that comes in, that's what we're going to do for Uber. I'm not going to be looking at this name straight off the jump, but if it does come back into 64, then I'm down with it. I'm down with this name right here, Google. I think that this is looking pretty good down into the downside. Holding that 190, we talked about needs to do that. I'm still looking for 194 break, although the 200 period is now at 193. So watch out for that one. That could be the trade that we're in. Palantir long off 100 as well. There we go. What's up, Adara? Of course, this opening bell brought to you by Worksport. Check out them on the NASDAQ WKSP. Get that on your watch list. 2 and 1. Thank you, Adara. There we go. Okay. I guess we fixed that mantle. I don't know. It was.
It's okay now.
Yeah, so listening is better now. Okay, so here we go. Google making a move. Here comes 190. It don't look like it wants to hold, but there it is right now, right down into 190. I said it's a little bit early, but there is an initial hold and a bounce of 50 cents, and then maybe a break, maybe not a break right now for Google. There it goes, 189. Look at that. Big move to the downside right there, right? Instantly 40 cents there as Google loses 190. It may be a take back through 190 now. On that, I'm going to edit this, but for right now, there it goes, another take through 190. Google might have just bottomed. Let's
wow,
wait and
NVIDIA.
see. Yeah, go with NVIDIA.
NVIDIA, so about dipping into VWAP, it's going to require a little bit of patience for us to be able to get that. NVIDIA is now through 122.5 and continuing to go higher. Is Broadcom maybe available? Where's Broadcom? Okay. NVIDIA? Broadcom's dropping pretty heavily here. So NVIDIA up, Broadcom's dropping down. They're going at everyone's just piling into NVIDIA. Maybe Broadcom can settle down, get back above VWAP. AMD just broke the bottom. Palantir just came through.
Downside.
You're right. I was going to get to AMD, but Palantir's at $100, guys. So gotta pop over to Palantir. Oh, I still have that wick from yesterday.
Yeah, we just crushed, but I mean, we'll have to see what one's about. There it is, yes, sir. It is your first Dollar Club winner right there, Palantir, off of the watch list. Off the sticky note today, as it goes back through $100. Let's wait to see now what winds up happening there with Palantir. A couple outs at 70, outs at 90, and another out right there for your dollar. Not a dollar, breaks through the dollar. Now it's a Dollar Club winner right there for Palantir. So another big trade. Big trade alert, Neil. Big trade alert. Over 10,000 watching. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Can we do it again? Yes, we can. We do this all the time, every day. This is your trade. It's right here, right now. Palantir, the #1 trade idea right there going through so far on the day. It's a big day there. I'm not going to say we're at our day goal yet because we're not. We're only halfway there, and it's 9:32. So far, so good on that one. As Google going the other way right now, down to 189. Tank City there for Google today, unfortunately. And then, wow, Tesla as well, losing. This was our #1. Actually, not our #1 idea is Google. That just didn't hit yet. Palantir, Tesla, I wrote down a short at 390. That's not in. And then one more play, and I'll give it back to Neil, was FXI. Sorry, I keep checking my sticky note there. FXI to see what's going on. That's 32.25. We're not ready for that one. But, oh, boy, good trading there on Palantir. Get up as high as 102.
The drop is real on Broadcom here. It's absolutely bleeding. Palantir just came back and retested the even dollar, but it's still holding above. But Broadcom is really continuing to lose the bid, and it's dragging NVIDIA with it. So I got NVIDIA pulling back here. I'm going to stick with NVIDIA. I mean, why catch a falling knife when this one still looks strong? So we like VWAP, but it's sitting about $1 away from us here. Maybe we'll look for some kind of higher low. With a rejection candle like this off the top, I think patience is required when trying to grab the bid. Okay, Google's at our level now. So let's get over to Google. Alphabet is at that 188. This is where the Alamo is for me, 187.5 to 188. So we wick that, and we're going to go into the reversion long here on Alphabet. It's not 10% down. That was
look at Palantir, guys. Adara? Yeah.
Yeah, Disney here really strong off earnings. It got as high as 118.50, pulled back a little bit. But DIS, in case you missed it, they did beat here on their estimates. Their guidance for Q2 Disney Plus subscribers was a little bit lower than expected. So DIS pushing higher, guys. Back to you.
Okay, we are 3/4 to our daily goal right now at 934. So Palantir is just a one-hit wonder right now. There's that dip buy at $100. We talked about that. We talked about where our bid was. We take it. It's a nice move up for Palantir. We're out of half now, actually, of Palantir. So still could be a disaster. We'll see what happens. I'm going to get out of one more piece right now at 90, as it looks like it is potentially stalling out there. I know you mentioned Google was at your spot. I don't know.
Almost.
Almost, okay. So I don't really have a spot for Google. I was still waiting for that 194 break long on GOOGL. You could trade just a normal one without the L. Just would be the same moves.
A little less volume.
We just look at the other way around there. So there goes Google right now, breaking back above 190. We can always have a look at that. But hey, man, I mean, if this market rips up, we've already done it already today with Palantir. But we want more. Give me more. Give me more. 193, I guess. I mean, I'm still looking at that level there. Nothing. I'm not in love with Google right now. The money is really being stacked up over there on PLTR. Now over $2 in the money on that trade, and you know we hit that with confidence because again, it's a sticky note play. So we really like that one. SMR also trying to go back up to the upside. Nice little big candle there right off the jump from 23 up to 23.50. SMR looking to extend higher as well. But man, oh man, Neil, this is a day maker already. We're already basically done now for today, as there it goes. All right, 80%, approaching 90% of the day goal right now. It's a face slap. Someone's mic is still on, Fabian. I hear it in my ear, but there we go. Nice move to the upside there. Thank you very much. 103 inbound for Palantir, Neil. Big trade alert over here.
Yeah, great trade over in Palantir. I just trailed out of it at the pre-market high just like a minute or so ago. But NVIDIA is right back. It just did it again. This price action is insane on NVIDIA. It broke 122, got to the $0.50, and right back underneath. They're dumping it over $122. It's not really staying there for very long. So if it can evade that, hold above 22. Let's forget about VWAP for a second. It could still be a VWAP trade. But if we can hold this 22 level, I think we got a little something here. Looking like it's trying to do it now. I'm going to jump in. I still like VWAP better, but I'm going to give it to the prior high at 121.80 or so. So we're going to put a stop in there. I still like VWAP better, but we're going to get some in on NVIDIA, see if we can catch this holding the 122 for the first time today. And Broadcom, just for everybody, I know we're looking at Broadcom and NVIDIA. Broadcom's still trying to bounce off the lows here. NVIDIA just much, much stronger. Despite the bigger percentage gain in Broadcom, it's NVIDIA which is trending higher and higher and higher. Let's get some out in front of 40 and see if we can get to that high of the day again.
Nice trade over there. There it is, another one. 70 cents in the money with Google, taking Google long. And Neil, bang, there it is, props it up right there as we are now at our goal there for, I mean, it's not a goal. We're just setting these goals for us so we can sort of measure where we are on the day and not get too carried away with ourselves. But there it is right now. Daily goal met one more time at 937. This is what day trading is about. It doesn't have to be all day. You make your plays, you get in, you get out. There it is right there. Two absolute bangers. We said we have to wait for Neil to hold 190 on Google. It did that. We went long, and welcome to hopefully another dollar club right there. We'll go 2 for 2 with dollar clubs right now. It's actually $3 is our max that we've taken there on Palantir. Well, sorry, $2.75. It does get up into that $3 area. There it is. Our best outs are right here, right now. So that's $2.50 in the money. And there it is, Neil. We are that person we think we are right now as we get another dollar on Google as it's ripping. Google, Neil, sorry. It is now $1.50 in the money with Google. And there we go again. Okay. Again, we have to have some kind of humility here, but at the same time, we need to tell you that like we are now $4 in the money right now, Neil, on these two positions. We only have 2 trades today. It's $4. There it is, man. I mean, you can come to the club if you want, but it's open for all. I mean, this is a free stream that we have every single day. We did it yesterday. We did it the day before. We did it every day last week. And here it is again right now, Google with an absolute banger. And it ain't like we didn't talk about it, man. This is right here. Google, hold 190, take the long. It's pretty clear. And then Palantir also well discussed, well traded. These are major days, man, happening. And we're proud that you guys are here with us. So thank you again. I mean, Neil, there's reasons why we're hitting all-time highs with viewership, right? So So let's keep this going, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, NVIDIA just came out, and we got three things happening all at the same time. In that 122 on NVIDIA, you saw me. I was locked and loaded for a reversion trade here on Uber. Wanted to punch very, very quickly on Uber, but you're seeing it continue to break lower. It's at that 64 where I'm looking for the mean revert, but it didn't do it. There's that 122 level again, so they couldn't end up holding it. I can show you the out. We said we'd take it once above and then wait for VWAP. So we took it once above. We'll jump out and look for the next opportunity over there in Alphabet. The other play over here is going to be, as I said, Uber is down at that bottom into 64. So it's already bottomed there twice this morning, looking for a simple mean reversion on Google. If we didn't really get Alphabet on the mean revert, so I want to make sure we can grab this. First time it puts in the green, holding the low, I'm going into the reversion long, playing in for VWAP on this bad boy, and then continue to go to the upside. The rest of the market's heading back into the upside as you're breaking highs. So Uber's at our level. Want to make sure we're ready for this revert. Just needs to break back and hold above the $65 level. As long as 64 doesn't break, I still want the long in Uber. But at any fresh low, I jump out of any reversion trade.
Last time you were here with me, it was $4 in the money. Now it's $5. We're really starting to get really excited. I mean, Google's at 192.50 right now. We like the 194 break. I mean, this has just been just a really good little moment of time here for trading. We wanted Google breaking back above, right? So there it goes, breaking the VWAP now right up to the upside here again. So we still have about 30% of each of these trades. So far, so good, man. I mean, Palantir has really been a game changer for me over the last couple of days. And there it goes again, right there. And it's just thank you for supporting everything that Neil and I are doing here on the show. Because I mean, picking winners like this and being this consistent. As we had that chat yesterday from one of the viewers, and they super chat, and they're like, "Wow, how are you just this consistent?" And it's just following basic rules and trying to show you guys that it is what it is. To take a line from my guy over here, it's just this is exactly what we're trying to show you: consistency, ins and outs, how we're trading, what's going on exactly. Like Neil's long Palantir right here, and he'll talk about the play. I'm talking about the play now. I'm actually thinking the other way. I'm starting to get out of this long on Palantir. So why don't we go over there? You just put that position on, and we'll see what's going on with PLTR. But for me on Google, same thing. Trying to get out a little bit. We did have a nice move to the high side this morning. Yeah, I'm giving it right. So come into my 3-minute chart for a quick little second if we can. Let's go right to the chart. VWAP is here at 02s. This is the higher low wick at 101.40. This is where I want to play the base off of. As long as it can hold that, I think we're looking okay. We're at VWAP on NVIDIA as well. Uber is also continuing to fall. Like Uber did not make the curl, made a fresh low. It's still heading to 64. Still want to respect it. So on the 3, there's your under. If we lose that, we get out. Otherwise, we're building back long into the overall high. Okay, the high's at 103.5. 104 is kind of the target area for the reload into the long position in Palantir. And a similar thing, NVIDIA also at VWAP. It's just bouncing off VWAP. 121 also happens to be here as well. We said if it lost 22, we'd look back into VWAP on NVIDIA. And then the third stock we're looking at, only because, well, I mean, AMD hasn't really done much. Uber does the reversion. At the moment it did this curl, Palantir and NVIDIA both came right into VWAP. So I went over to those two stocks. But NVIDIA holding, Palantir retesting, not 101.4 yet, but it is certainly getting there. Uber looking pretty solid. If it can hold maybe 65 back down in, I could still get the same price we had before for the punch. But when two other stocks fill, you're not necessarily going to be able to jump over and punch that third. No, exactly. I mean, this stop on Palantir was a break of 100, so we still needed that to go, right? So Google's coming back in right now. I see that you're there as well. Palantir just came right into that 101.04 area, so we do take a reload of that trade and put our stop just a little bit underneath 100 now, not trying to give anything back here on Palantir. And in fact, we just reloaded a monster there. So let's now wait to see what winds up happening at that area. So nice little little bounce back into that 101.40 area. We do take some out there in the 90s, and here it comes right back in again there. I see you just got out of Palantir, so I'm going to stay in and just see what winds up happening. But here we go, man. Palantir right now at that 101 area. Very, very risky business right now for PLTR. So we'll reload it a little bit and see if we can get that move back to the upside. But for right now, Palantir go boom in the night. Still number one P&L name here as we wait to see what winds up happening. But Palantir could give some back. We'll wait to see. Now 101.40 is where we're long. That's right where the price is. So giving this a little bit more room. We do have some numbers coming out soon. So services PMI and whatnot. So definitely a slippery slope here on PLTR. We'll see. If it breaks below 101, we're out of this name, and it looks like we may do that. We just got a couple outs on the top side there, but it doesn't look like it wants to hold too much right now. So I don't know what else is going on over there, but Google's coming back as well, down $1. Sorry, still up $1, but down $1.
Before we go to PP, we have numbers coming in less than 1 minute. So before we go to Adara, you lose that higher low support. I'm out. I want to stay for now green on Palantir. If it breaks 100, I'm probably going to end up red because I'm going long at 100 again. But we're still up on it because we obviously took a bigger move on the initial play. NVIDIA is bouncing nicely, but let's go to Adara. We have numbers in about 20 seconds, everybody.
Yeah, we're just going to be getting here the S&P Services and Composite PMI data. The more important data, the ISM PMI, is going to be coming out here at 10 a.m. We do have S&P Services PMI here expected to be 52.9. S&P Composite PMI expected to be 52.5. Both these numbers expected to grow by 0.1 on a month-over-month basis. Let's see what we get. Okay, we got exactly in line here for S&P Services PMI 52.9 versus 52.9 expected. S&P Composite PMI a little bit higher than expected here, 52.7 versus 52.5. Market continuing to push to the upside. Here is the NASDAQ. We also, again, we have more data at 10 a.m. with the ISM print. Stay tuned for that. But also keep an eye on ACB, another earnings name that's been really strong here. Aurora Cannabis actually having a 37% year-over-year increase in net revenues for Q3. We have Tilray and some of these other cannabis stocks as well rallying off of that, guys. Back to you.
Okay, not too much movement there on the number. Thank you very much, Adara. NVIDIA just got back to 122. It's doing the same thing it did before at this 122. You're getting a wath of sellers in there. I think we're going to get a chance at VWAP again. I'm just going to make sure I'm on the bid in case we do get that on NVIDIA. Palantir's still battling with the same area as, there's that wick. Still battling with the same area. So it did stop out underneath 101.40, but it's still at the same price. Still looking for that 100 ad if we're able to get back in there. And then one more for you, AMD. It's not doing a lot, but it's certainly not rising. Sellers here at 108. I was thinking 9s, 10s would be the short on AMD, but if it can't break VWAP, we should just respect the lower highs and try to jump on over to it. I wanted to be fading this stock if we got a chance. It just didn't pop enough. In a strong market, I would have thought it would come to me, but it's not doing so. All right, Palantir, time to you-know-what or get off the pot. Like it's still, now it's holding 101. If you can close back above 101.4, you might take another shot at this particular level and not wait for the 100 on PLTR. Like the wick bottom, but you need to hold that higher low.
Okay, just a quick little look here to see. We only have those two trades. All right, let's check out FXI. So yeah, Palantir, I'll take one more shot down here at 101. I mean, I've just bought it. We'll see if it works out. I mean, we have some more shares. Okay, we have some more shares now to the upside. Here we go. So let's go. I don't know. All right, so we'll wait to see. I'm gonna try to get something out here at 50 if it does go up, because yeah, it's definitely not looking like it. If the sellers like get out of here like they just tried to right there, then we could have another decent winner on our hands right now. So let's wait to see what happens here with Palantir. We've been getting out of Google here. If this breaks through 190, again, we don't like that kind of a play through 190. So I don't know if that's going to hold or not there, but okay, 191. Okay, well, now we're trying to hold it out. All right, Neil, again, like big trade alert right now. Big trade alert on Palantir. Yeah, what Sharif said. I mean, this is a really, again, there's the reload, there's the confidence, there it goes, right through again on PLTR. big upside move, and looks like we're going to continue it. So here we go. Yes, Neil. Oh, yeah. This is actually a really big position. This is actually the same size that we had the very first time on this trade. So right now, yeah, we are a little bit to the moon right now, Neil. There we go. What's up to my guy Lincoln there in the chat, wondering why we celebrate so much. I mean, yeah, I would think that, you know, me and Neil just did a video about this. Celebrate your wins, man. And when we put out these kind of trades and they work like this, we are going to celebrate it, and you guys know, I'll celebrate a little bit. I do put on some shares, and when the wins happen, they happen, and it is a nice play, right? So we'll wind up seeing what happens here. I don't do this for myself. I do it for you guys and for the family. So I just come here and have a good time every day. I know what I'm doing, and as you guys can see, Neil, we were 7 for 7 on Monday. 4 for 4 yesterday, 2 for 2 here to start the day right now, and at 175% of our daily goal. So I appreciate all the viewers, and I also appreciate this as we hit record viewers. And I really do think there's reasons why, and it has to do with winning trades. Great talk, great content, great words of wisdom over there from Neil. So yeah, man, I mean, we all have our roles here, and I think it's pretty clear what mine is. So nice moves here on PLTR. Huge move right now. Over $1 in the money on Google, and over $1.40 right now on the reload of Palantir. So yeah, man, big trade alerts happening, and pretty proud of it too. So all right. Let me throw it back over there to Neil, as we still have some more numbers coming throughout the day. I actually got out of too many shares there.
Not yet, not till 10.
Not till 10, yeah. I actually got out of too many shares. They're at the 200 period moving average, but at the end of the day, pretty good outs. And yeah, Palantir again today, just like it was yesterday. At this time yesterday, I said it's going to be P&L number 1. It's going to be P&L number 1 today, because I think I'm slowing down on what we're going to do now, and just relax, take it easy a little bit here, because it's just been a monster day again. We're up more right now than we were at the end of the day yesterday, and we were 4 for 4. So, all right, let's keep on going here. That's Google, that's Palantir. What's good over there?
NVIDIA holding some higher lows, which I like, and it's not really breaking out. I saw in the chat someone's like, NVIDIA's breaking out. It's not breaking out right now, everybody. It's holding VWAP, but 122. There's still a lot of sellers. I'm trying to see if it can clear it out. I still like the long over 122 if it can clear through the sellings. I think we've got more upside. It's a break of yesterday's high. I like support at yesterday's resistance. So I think you want to stick with NVIDIA. All right, here comes AMD in just a quick little second, but I still want to see buyers above 122 that we can add to, and then we'll continue to go upside. Obviously, we didn't really talk about Bitcoin. It's at 99. Worth noting, the 100 break was pretty good yesterday. I think if you can take 100, it would look good one more time. So still looking for it to hold 122 on NVIDIA. AMD is getting real close to another test of VWAP. If it can get to this 108, I think it's a short at that high on Advanced Micro Devices. And as for Uber, that's the other one that we're heavily tracking. Not going to get back to that 64. Might have been a missed opportunity. I'll have to fail on that. Went over, had it locked and loaded, try to get that punch on that mean revert, but you know, if you're just a smidgen too slow, you're going to miss that kind of a trade. It is a falling knife, though, on Uber. You don't want to be punching in way too early. Oh, NVIDIA. There we go. NVIDIA still can't hold that 122. So we're going to wait around for VWAP at 121.20 and then see if we can't get more of this trade. Want to be adding to NVIDIA, not taking away. I see Lamel's also talking about Meta. We didn't mention Disney. There's a lot of other names out there in the market, one of which, as this chart decides not to load, is Apple. Apple 230. You guys can see where it closed up here. There was a lot of selling at the 233 level. If it gets up there, we didn't really talk about it, but if it gets up there, I think it's still a fade at 233. 226, the Alamo for me never came into play. So I'll probably throw that level out with the bathwater. Let's go to Adair.
Another really strong name here, Tempest AI, TEM. This one got a price target increase to $74 from TD Cowen, and it is a Nancy Pelosi name. TEM here with a 22% short float. Near day's highs here, but rejecting that $70 level as of right now. Back to you.
I heard that. Whether you like or not, Meta $715. Meta, as it actually made another high at 718 and pulling back into 715. So super strong move in there for Meta as well. All right, there's the curl on AMD. So we're going to look to get short. I'm going to keep on zooming in and out, but I was trying to show you guys yesterday on NVIDIA, but there's AMD, lower high off of VWAP. So had it broken VWAP, I'd be shorting it at the top end of the range because it holds VWAP for now. I'm going to give it to prior bar high, just an easy way to claim. Oh, and this is on a 3-minute chart. So if I say like prior bar high, I'm using a 3-minute chart like this red that you just saw there. So we're into NVIDIA long, AMD short, which at least that's kind of how they've been going on the daily charts. So it's kind of not really against the grain when you think of it that way. But they could still move in concert. It's just they don't usually in the long term.
We're so here comes, we talked about getting out of some of the Google, right? I mean, we'll try it one more time right down here at 190. Our average price is 190.35. I'm not going to put on that many shares down here. I'm waiting for a little bit of a break of 190. Then if we lose 189.50, then I'm going to get out of Google. So yeah, just again, I don't really like trading names on earnings. But this one held that one. It didn't even hold the 190. It's just, I was like, let's see if that is the bottom. So once it broke 190, we just went hella long. And then that was the end of that, right? $2 upside. We talked about getting some out at the 200 period there. And then it fell back in a little bit more out there at 190, 150, and then out on the VWAP break. So now we'll reload it right here at 25. So you can see where my average price is. We're going to wait to see if we lose. I'm just going to see if we lose down here. 189.50. That's 189.75. We'll average it back in. Everything is fine. It's really just Palantir is just carrying the day again. Like I'm just gonna wait. I'm waiting at 102.79 right now, just because that's kind of where we got out last time. That top right there was 102, 103. So we have basically the bottom and some wicks at the top. I told you we got out of a little bit too much right here at 102.30s. It was actually 102.20. That was my bad, just doing too much there as we were talking. So we missed that one. All right, TQQ on a pullback right now. The NASDAQ is probably prime to think about a long. I mean, right there into VWAP. For me on the NASDAQ though, I do prefer the 200 period moving average rather than VWAP, but again, it's a nice bounce there. We're long the market, right, with Google and Palantir. I was just looking over there because I was looking to see what your positions were, and it's funny because like you're in the same sector, and I think that's the right way. Long NVIDIA, short AMD.
AMD's got
like a little hedge fund.
AMD's got a buyer. The hedge fund we need is the Pelosi hedge fund. A little insider information. No, there is. Well, actually, there is one. No, but there's buying in here, and I saw in the chat 106.75, 106.80 on AMD. That said, it's a flat bottom with lower highs, so the trend is still to the downside on AMD. One name that we maybe did not talk about, which that's my bad. I meant to go over PayPal as a day two play. Well, PayPal bounced pretty nicely off of 77.5, so it did end up holding yesterday's low. It's day two SSR. That play might be gone at this point, but it's looking a little bit strong. If this can take out 79, it might have a chance to go. I don't want to give up on that day two SSR long play just because we didn't get a shot at the low of the day there on PYPL. It could still break out this 79 area. Watch out for that. Bitcoin's no longer looking like it's going to break that 100,000 minutely.
Bitcoin.
So, when we're at 99, I was like, watch out for Bitcoin. I feel like every time it breaks 100, it's actually at minimum a good scalp trade at the absolute worst. So NVIDIA will look to see if we can get this 121, but every single time we get up to 122, the sellers show up again and again and again. So I'll reload VWAP on AMD and reload VWAP on NVIDIA and try to be a little bit more patient when it comes to this PayPal. But yeah, it might end up breaking out this 79, which I think can be a clean break.
All right, so we reloaded we reloaded Google. That just went into flat for us. We don't want to take that. We still think there's a higher move coming here potentially for Google off of that bottom. We did not get our reload at 75s. It went down to 85. Let's see if it wants to work one more time for us right now. Yeah, advanced money losing. That is right, Peter there. I do not like that stock, but I'm not going to go over it because Neil just did. Was that a call for Adara, by the way? No, okay, good. All right, so not good. I mean, we wanted Dare to come through, but I didn't want to miss it. All right, so 189.75. That's okay. There it is. So there's my last. Okay, looks like we could dump out here. We do have a position on. We're not going to go red or anything on the stock, but it looks like we do have this downside move. So happening right now, the market is giving it up a little bit. Obviously, you're short in AMD is probably
no. It just broke VWAP. It's counter market right now. It just caught a huge bid.
Okay, so
it caught a huge bid on AMD. So whoever the buyer was at 6.8 seems to be right. I still believe in it. We'll wait for it at 108 higher. Don't mind getting out to get back in at the better prices. Ideally, I wanted shorts at 9s and 10s. That's not going to end up happening here, but you're right. The market is pulling back, and AMD heading back into said upside. The NASDAQ looking a little bit weak. I'm still bidding Palantir. Let me just cancel that. I have a general rule, like, why am I bidding 100 if it's holding VWAP? Because if it fills on a big gap to the downside, like you might not want it, don't just have orders sitting out there when they're too far away on a day trade. It's okay for the long term. But the higher low still looking good on PLTR. It did this wick. A better entry, obviously, is on the curl. I like reversion entries, and I took one on the way to the downside. If this decides to do another move down, trending down, then I'm gonna work that on a reversal of the trend. All right, this time you put up or shut up. This is looking much better here on NVIDIA, where you've got the nice little higher low. It's not getting to VWAP. It's still trying to battle the 122. If we can take out this local high at 122.40, I'm going to add that way, which I got to cancel the offer at 124 to be able to do that.
Yeah, shout out to everybody in the chat. Look, man, it's going to be different for both of us, right? I mean, we're both going to have different ideas, different everything, different trading style. We make, different money and all that kind of stuff. So if you're gonna, follow Neil's trades, do that. If you're gonna follow mine, do that. If you're gonna follow none of us, do that. But please listen and see if you can learn just a little bit on some of the things that we've been doing there as well. And then you can always ask us if we're green or red on the day, and then that way it'll give you a good idea of how our trading is going, right? I mean, there's nothing else we could do. This is what it is. Some days will be great, some days won't. And for today, it's been another great day, but we just got to wait for these things to happen. There are numbers coming out. And look, here goes Google again. We tried the long one more time. We're able to get a little bit out. Stuff happening right now. Let's go over to Adara on ISM non-manufacturing.
We did get the ISM non-manufacturing, services data here for January. This came in here at 52.8. That is below the forecast of 54 and the previous print of 54.1. ISM services prices paid also below estimates here, 60.4 versus 65.1 expected. ISM services new orders lower than the previous print, but ISM services employment actually above the previous print. So just to recap here, that is a lower than expected ISM services PMI print, 52.8 versus 54 expected. That also follows a basically in line S&P services print. And we get the Qs pushing a little bit higher here. So that is the NASDAQ getting that pop above 583, but pulling back a little bit here on this 3-minute chart. Really, the theme of the day is going to be earnings outside of some Chinese ADR plays. Keep an eye on these as we do have this ongoing trade situation between the U.S. and China. We have Disney here, one of these day one's earnings plays, chopping around a little bit, basically reporting higher than expected EPS and sales, though they're expecting a quarter-over-quarter decline for their Disney Plus subscribers next quarter. Then we have AMD, which is near low of days, trying to hold a little bit of support here around that 106 halves area. They actually did beat on revenue and EPS, but their data center, while up 69% here, the data center revenue fell below analyst estimates. So lots of earnings here, guidance being really important this quarter. And we have ARM and Qualcomm and Ford tonight. Back to you.
Ford. ARM, Qualcomm, MS, I believe MicroStrategy as well. Not that they have earnings to report. I mean, we all know what they do, so it doesn't even matter. So look, NVIDIA did go to the upside, but that's not what's next. What's next, I got to figure out, every single time I type NVIDIA into my level 2, I'm always typing NVDAS. It's so weird. I make the same keystroke. It's annoying. But I was talking about not getting Palantir on a reversion, so break of trend to the upside and buying into it. Well, Alphabet is doing a similar thing. So there is your trend down. If it can break out above this price, it's hard to see because of that wick, but it's 190. would be the break of this bar high. Now, obviously, that's a moving target. Every 3 minutes, you're going to have a moving target on that level for Alphabet. So there goes NVIDIA. It finally broke out above the 122, so holding higher lows in the trend. The first shot we took at it was kind of breaking around that same area, and we lost, and we bought the trend. So I want to continue to buy the trend into 124, which is next resistance on NVIDIA, looking very, very strong. And yeah, Google might do the reversion soon. Hopefully, it's going to be able to give us that. Oh, we forgot all about this. I see you in the chat, Freddy 5000. This is why we have the best community out there. Remember, SMCI news this morning, production, yada, yada, yada with NVIDIA. It ramped to the upside. It just reclaimed the $30 level, big level on the daily for SMCI to be able to hold that 30. It's got a nice little base of operations. Volume huge relatively on SMCI. So if you're trading this, I think it's found a little bit of a base. All right, well, the problem with the reversion trade is you actually have to bust through. Google looked like it was about to do it. Now all of a sudden it's going to be a moving target. I still look for a 90 break, but if this continues to slide, it'll have to be a little bit different, maybe a lower price. And then here comes Uber as well. Same story. Looking for it to break the trend and hold on to the low. So the low's adjacent to 64, and if it can revert this trend, we'll jump back into this, or jump into this one for the first time. All right, AMD, you're going to get there for the short. Maybe, maybe not. Apple. Yeah, AMD. Apple's actually still strong. I'm still looking at the same four stocks. I haven't really flipped away from, NVIDIA, Palantir, AMD, and obviously a little bit of Uber, which we haven't even traded yet.
Well, I'm going to get into Apple right here, pulling back into VWAP. We just broke. I'm going to try one more time on Google. We just broke a little bit lower there through 189, but then it bounced again. We were able to get out there a little bit and then lost on that last take. So I'm just going to try to see about Google holding. Again, and it's going against my playbook. We talked about why some of you guys are here and stuff like that, hopefully for the good vibes and the good trades, but also to try to look at different kinds of names. And I know we used to be different at what we do look at, but now it seems like we do pretty much all big tech names. But if you do have anything else, put it in the chat and we'll be there. The midday show definitely are all over all of these names. So I want to say a big shout out to the midday guys. Unfortunately, yesterday Rigetti was one of the top P&L names, and we had traded that live on the show. So if there is opportunities there, they will be there for sure. And we'll continue to trade those. But honestly, for me, I know where the bread is buttered, and it's right here. So we're going to keep on doing that. All right, so here comes maybe another one. I don't know. Here comes Apple. So nice move upside for Apple right now. We're long we're long 30. We're out there 55s. So it's a 30-cent winner quickly here on Apple on a little bit of a retrace higher. So we'll see what's going on now, Neil. Looks like we'll try to go 3 for 3 now. Well, look at this. Look at this on Google. Nice little pushback again on Google. So there we go again, man. Nice outs here. Nice trading on Google over here as it continues to go higher. Yes, sir. Let's go, man. Hit those sirens for a little bit of a pushback now in the market. So there we go. Nice longs. We did get dropped out there. We did buy it back on Google. We do have a new position initiated right now on Apple. We'll see if it can hold. If this does not hold 229, we're gone. So a little bit of a dip by opportunity in and around 229 again, but after that, see you later, and then we'll see what happens at 228.50. So right now, market trying to get backside, but Palantir making that move back in as well.
I was going to hit. We'll get there in a quick little second, but there are some cannabis names moving around here. Just dipping off of VWAP is ACB. Remember, they blew out their earnings. I don't know if... Whatever. They had a jump up to the upside on their earnings, holding VWAP in $5. And as we hunt for the reversion, if I'm looking for a dip reversion play on Google, which is very close to it, so is Uber right now, ACB's doing it literally as we speak. There's $5. I got to see if we, I actually didn't check to see if we have locates on this. Not that I'm looking to go short, but I should have checked to see if we have locates or free locates on this one to be able to go short, just on the off chance. But there's a reversion on an upward trend. Like it broke trend, trying to go back into the high, which is $5.50. I can give this to about $5. I don't like even dollar stops, so it'll be a number that's not exactly 5.
Here comes
you can always
Apple.
try to guess it. So there goes 1, and here comes another, and that would be Alphabet, which is trying to still close above the trend line here. Double bottom, breaking trend. I like that setup over here on Alphabet. We'll see if we can grab it. But yeah, the weed names are also in play.
We just got a pop.
See if we can get it. In which?
Nah, Apple just broke through 229 and went right back up, and I did not catch the pop on it back through. So we're still long Apple. We talked about this going into 220. This is my newest position, so it's really the only one right now that I'm looking at. A breakthrough. There it goes. Yes, sir. Let's go. We're at the highest spot we've been at all day again right now on this Apple trade. So well worth it right now. 20 cents in the money for this. Yes, 30 cents. Let's go. Let's keep going higher and higher and higher. Bills can wait for a second here as we start to go back up to the upside. 229.33. Let's go for Apple. This is a big trade. We're at the highest spot we've been at all day. So there we go. It's going to be a good trade. Those of you saying like, hey, Sean will let you know if he's green or not. Yeah, we're green. So there it goes right to the upside. And by the way, I mean, that's the whole point of this, what we're trying to do. I'll also tell you when we're red. And right now, it's been a good little move. Doesn't mean that it's going to last, right? So we just took some out right there on the top side. We got above VWAP. We got above the 50-period moving average. So we're actually out of half of Apple right now. Good move there for Google. We're now 30 cents in the money, taking more out over there. And oh boy, that was a good little run over the last minute or so. We just got to the highest spot we've been at all day right there, P&L wise. But hey, man, anything can happen. Neil, go pay some bills.
Let's do it. Are you a skilled trader but lacking capital? Prop firms offer the opportunity to trade with simulated funds, allowing you to showcase your skills, access account sizes ranging from 5K to 500K, and start with as little as $20. But with over 500 prop firms out there, how do you decide or find which are the best? That's where Prop Firm Match steps in. Prop Firm Match is your go-to platform for finding and comparing only the most esteemed firms with proven track records, consistent long-term payment histories. Access over 4,500 verified reviews, explore payout histories, and discover the best current deals all in one place. Scan the QR code that you see right in front of you on the screen and check out propfirmmatch.com today to find the perfect prop firm for you if you are a trader. Trading with other people's capital is a heck of a lot easier. Not that trading with your own, there's anything wrong with it. All right, let's zoom in very quickly. A couple of things happening here. I'll get to ACB, which is starting to come back, and we got one fill on ACB, and now wants to try to pull back. But there's our trend reverse on Alphabet. So this is what we missed on Uber, where there's your break of the trend, there's your hold of the trend line, actually wicked it almost perfectly. When it got back through 189.25, we jumped into it, just got some out at 70s, looking to get to the 190 level as well there. NVIDIA just came back and, ooh, this is challenging the trend line. This might lose the trend, actually. Trying to zoom out so you can see it a little bit better. So it just challenged the trend. If it breaks the prior bar low, which is actually 122.25, just double checking, I got my stop order in there. If it's 122.25, we're gonna have to jump out of this. We've done well on it on NVIDIA, but do not want to look gift horse mouth. We've kind of been adding on the way up, right? Like buying, selling, but then getting some of our 121s out up here, adding back in at 30s, and then getting some out in front of 23, trying to hold for some 124s on NVIDIA, which for now is still working out to the long side. And then ACB, that's still bouncing off $5 in VWAP, kind of slowing down in volume, but that's okay. I mean, as long as it holds a trend, I like this. We'll get an offer out. I should have an offer in front of 40 as well. So everybody out there, if you enjoy what you see, hit the like, hit the subscribe, and don't hesitate in the chat to ask questions. I mean, I see people talking about Disney. You got to be a subscriber to be in the chat. We're trying to get to 500,000, grow that community so we can all learn together. Disappointed to see Disney go red here after one of the few names that was up on earnings. Disney is super volatile. This has gone $5 up and $5 down and $3 up and $3 down. Disney's all over the place, yet kind of flat on the day percentage-wise. So obviously worth a look for everybody. I think when you look at the higher time frame, you should always try to zoom out. It would seem to me this 115 is a bit of a problem spot. If it can settle down above 115, I think that would be good, but you're seeing it do the exact opposite. The market's starting to look a little bit weak here. Yeah, we're starting to look a little bit weak. So as much as NVIDIA was holding earlier, 15-minute, let me show you the 15. we just lost our support again at that 122. So I've been adding on the way up, but that always means if you're adding on the way up, a lot of times you're going to tighten that stop up because I'm not going to hold the 122.40 all the way back to 21. If we lose 22, I'm back to buying the 21 level and then go from there.
Palantir is all the way up. Nothing can stop it. It's all the way up. I mean, there it is again. Boom. $1.50 in the money. We only took one piece out down there. But, again, you know, the show would be boring if it was just back and forth. Loser, winner, loser, winner. But there's a loser right there for Apple. Yeah, we will put a mark on that right there for Apple. And just to talk about, again, I know we don't show P&L. That's a choice. We're probably not going to do it. But what we can wind up doing is telling you right now that Apple, and again, you can ask us these things. If it helps you, you can ask any of us these things anytime. So I just lost right there about, I'm going to say about less than about 13% or so of what, so I lost about 13% on Apple right there of what we made on Palantir. So, and I'm just talking about in general for the whole day. So we talked about making our daily goals, making that. So yeah, it is a pullback, right? And we sit here, but I mean, now my LFT may be nothing because as you can see, Palantir is starting to go back up to the upside, but we sit on a prop floor. So learning about losses from top, you can get shut down if you're trading. It continues to go southbound and you keep adding to some of the losses. You can get shut down if you've given back too much. We've got 99 problems. That right now is not going to be one of them, nor is anything that we're doing right here. So nice move up there for Palantir. It just kept on going. We only have, again, we've traded some shares here. It's been a good day. We only have like under 5% left. This move right back into that area basically just cleaned us out of pretty much everything that we have. It's still going to be a good trade. If we can get 103.50, fine. We'll try that. But for right now, that's what that is. I actually just put a sell. So our only red stock there with this Apple trade there. I actually was just thinking, what about a sell in and around this VWAP? But look at that. It just came into the 200 period and stopped almost on a dime down there at 228.40. So that was a really good level there. I'm thinking about shorting Apple into 229.50. So if that comes back up, I'm going to start a position at 229.25 short into 229.50 and see what happens there. So that's going to be a trade right there. I am letting this settle down because we're trying to figure out with Google right here at the bottom. The futures are starting to get back up. Let's see if Google wants to go. We'll punch in some 63s right there. And right now you can see our average price is 83. So we actually put on a decent, actually I don't have that many shares. We put on a little bit more. Oh, we just bid and missed it. That's okay. Maybe there we go. We got it anyways. So there it is, man. We just got loaded up a little bit here on Google. I'm going to give it to that local bottom right now of 188, basically 25s. If we break 188, 25s, we'll scram out of this position. But right now, it is a reloaded trade here on Google right here, right now. Average price 188.80. So let's see what winds up happening now with Google.
Yeah, so well, for me, Google broke that low. It's going to be hard. Intel's got some news here. I'm going to go there in a quick little second. Oh. Google will slap the red on it because it just broke the low. I just heard, I didn't hear the actual story, but Intel is actually popping. It's only it's definitely not adding a CEO or anything like that. So it's only up like 20 cents or so and almost green. But there was a volume spike on Intel. If it had been a CEO, the stock's moving like 5% in like a heartbeat, I would think. But Intel with a bit of a volume spike. ACB, which I don't want to ignore it, but obviously when Google broke that low, we wanted that mean reversion. It could still give it to us. It's still trending down. And the Alamo for me was 187.50. I believe Brian said he liked the 188, which, I mean, that's a distinction without a difference. It's still around that same level looking for, talk about Brian Shannon from the Aftermarket show yesterday. He was talking about an anchored VWAP at 188 on Google. So it is at that level. Yeah. I'll take any mean reversion in front of about 187.5. ACB just double dipped back into VWAP, so it's holding 5. But it's putting in a lower high at 530. I don't know why I zoomed out there. It's kind of blue sky setup. But it cannot seem to break the 530 level. So you're holding VWAP. I still think you got a chance to break out. Disappointed that it's only a 9% short float here on ACB. Feel like you would be doing a heck of a lot better if this was like the old days with a 20, 30% short float on ACB. SMCI still looking pretty good, but my eyeballs, it's not often that you get a stock as big as Google trending towards 10% down. So this is kind of one of those.
What was the Intel news?
One of those mean versions. I never heard the Intel. I just heard Intel's popping on news. I didn't catch the story on Intel. I just figured because it didn't break the high, it can't be that big of a deal, but I didn't hear the exact story.
Oh, it broke the high.
I thought it did.
Yeah, no, it's ripping right now.
It
It's crazy.
It is?
I'm going to go short on Intel right now. I have no idea what the news is. Adair just got back to the desk, so she'll find out if there is something coming through here. It's going to be a small position until we figure it out. It's just this is a big move upside right now as the market thinks about going the other way. So there it is, Intel breaking higher. I was going to realistically think about this in and around here. 1950s or so as an area to get out if there was any problem. So that will be probably what we're going to do. That high right there, 1955. I'm willing to sit in that for a minute to see what winds up happening. So that's what we're going to do right now with Intel. And if we do find out something else, we'll get it. I'm going to short another piece here at 37s. If we're able to do it, then great. We'll see.
I have it.
Okay, what is it?
Japan Lab and Intel set out to develop next-gen quantum computer. So what would that be, like
that's
25 years away?
I don't know, but that's probably not great for the short. I mean,
but if you're setting out to, nobody's even close on like significant, setting out to just means it would take a very long time. So we'll see. Look, just over here to Alphabet, it's still in the trend down. It just put in a higher low. We're going to go up to Adara. But watch out, NVIDIA is also coming back into view up. I want to reload that as well. Let's go to Adara.
This part of the show is brought to you by Worksport, introducing a new discovery in the NASDAQ, Worksport, ticker WKSP. Worksport's a U.S.-based manufacturer, and they're rapidly expanding with growing revenues, government contracts, and innovative green energy products designed to power your life off-grid. Whether you're on the move or seeking sustainable energy solutions, Worksport has you covered. Now trading on the NASDAQ under WKSP, discover the future of clean energy with Worksport. Also here, we're going to take a quick look at the small caps while we're up here, do a little bit of small cap recap. We've got IWM, actually great look here, getting that push the rest of the market got with those ISM data, which is actually lower than expected. But IWM, despite this kind of, I guess, bearish engulfing 3-minute candle, we've generally been pretty strong here, trying to hold on to that 228 level right now. BBAI, not necessarily a small cap, but a name that has been moving here. We did have some headlines on Big Bear AI this morning. This one is about a 20% short float. Also, Oscar, OSCR, this name is actually not a small cap, we're in a $3 billion market cap. But despite an earnings miss across the board last night, they're actually trading higher on the day, though they did reject that 1650 level a little bit. So a couple small caps to keep an eye on. I also saw this penny stock moving early today as well, ASST. So this is asset entities. Right now, there's still a little bit of a bull flag. No news that I could see in ASST, but it has rallied before. So lots of these smaller names on watch today, guys. Back to you.
Good old Astis?
Yeah, I was, so we didn't get that exact high there of 45. I'm actually waiting at 48 because I want to put on, I want to just see about this play here with Intel and China and supercomputers and all this kind of stuff. Because as my friend Sharif says over there, China, and we'll see there. Shout out to the new administration as well. Yeah, but we'll wait. Unfortunately, we do miss that top, but we're trying to be patient with it right now on Intel. I'll take the opportunity to short this whenever we possibly can. That might be a good opportunity. Now it's coming back into the money now, 5 or 6 cents. Let's just, okay, here it comes. Yeah, that's exactly what we thought there, Intel. You know, you can put lipstick on a pig, but at the same time, it still is what it is. So let's wait to see now what happens here with Intel. We'll take a little bit out, if we can, down here at 930. I mean, I don't know where this is going to go, but right now it does look like it wants to go to the downside here with INTC. I just put some bids at 29s and then at 28s. That looks like the bottom. Not a huge position. I'd rather get a lot more frisky with this thing if we can get up here again one more time, and then we'll just see about that top. Right? I mean, that only went down into the money for us. It did touch 28, so it was at one point a 6-cent winner. So, yeah, we'll wait to see if we get a retracement back. I mean, obviously the 200 period would be something. So if we can get everything out like around 2021, that would be pretty good. And then if the news is refuted or whatever happens, maybe we can hold something for a play back into VWAP.
It just seems like long-term, not short-term news.
Yeah, I don't really know what to think.
Quantum computing,
just got Uber,
developing quantum computing doesn't sound like something that's like imminently fantastic. Like, it's just everyone's taking so long to develop. If you're like getting into this game like late, I don't know.
No, I think
I'm a little skeptical on that. Like, I don't think that's the thing that propels Intel in any kind of a short term to get off these lows. It can do something today, but anyways, SMCI, that's a real strong stock. Well, today SMCI hasn't been doing that well, but it's a very strong stock. Was doing so already. There's your bounce off of 30. It just took out the prior high and is now trying to hold above. There has not been a dip. I think any kind of a dip into VWAP, any kind of a break of a trend to the downside, and then it's like revert it the other way. Like allow this is sometimes like what I'm trying to do, which actually Google's about to break now.
These
See if we can get into Google. Google is starting to ramp. No, anything that we're a trend down like this and then break of the trend, look long. It's one thing to catch a falling knife break of trend like this, where Google makes the bottom at the 188, and it's another to buy the dip on something strong, which is trending, like SMCI. So if we see that again, or even any kind of a pullback, going to look for some long entries on SMCI that looks strong. ACB, not much changed on this name. I can't figure, where's my other one? I always hit, is it this one? I do have it.
That's a good one, yeah.
There it is. Yeah, actually, there it is.
That's the one.
That's the one that we like. But the same thing keeps happening on ACB when it breaks 530. It just gets to 533, 34, and then boom, the sellers come right back in. So buying off VWAP is working, but the follow through is a little bit tepid here on ACB, up 42%. Good print for them, but obviously I'd like a little bit more follow through. So the news trade was Alphabet and then SMCI. I just feel like in the market, which is coming to the downside, maybe look for some kind of a trend reversion down and then revert it right back into the upside on SMCI. You guys let us also know what you're watching, because I've seen a few people talk about crypto, which is not moving, and I just saw in the chat Robinhood. I haven't really seen too much in fintech today that was jumping off. And when you mention Robinhood, like there you go. In a weak market, you have something which is breaking higher. I've been watching Bitcoin thinking we get another 100 break. Should throw that one out the window. We're still at 98.4 doing nothing. Robinhood, on the other hand, that's a good one. So great look. In a weak market, you want to find some relative strength. I think some of you have found one with Robinhood. SMCI a little stronger. I think I'd rather join that trend.
Yeah, I'm trying to join a dip buy opportunity here. We've put this bid early on Uber. This bid was been here since the beginning of the show. And we put it down. We talked about where we thought we could get Uber today. It's down 8%. So, yeah, not good right here for Uber as our position goes red again in the long-term account. I'm going to wait to see if it breaks through $64, and then we're going to stop out of this. We will average a little bit more shares. So right now, let's just say we have 1 unit. We're going to get 4 units. So we do have another bid down here at 64.15. I think, or so, to get some more shares in front of 64, and then a break of 64, and we are out of there on this play. Getting a little bored with Intel right now, to be honest with you, because, you play off the news. We actually got the reversion, and it didn't go anywhere. So I'm starting to think, still willing to play off that top here. It doesn't look like that news is going to hit so hard right now. So we'll just play off of it trying to break through this 55 area. Yesterday's top. Okay. Whether or not AMD's news is good or bad for Intel today, AMD has sort of done its thing, which isn't much. Its high is 108 and change. Really disappointing with the way AMD is traded today. Very choppy. Really no trades there other than waiting for the tops or the bottoms. So disappointed with AMD trade, but again, Intel, where they are today, oops, that's Google, sorry, where Intel is today being up, seems a little, I know you've been trading NVIDIA, and that's still doing
trying to hold
also,
VWAP.
Actually.
I forgot to look at Broadcom.
I still like this one the best, man. I like NVIDIA.
Trying to hold the sneeze. It's not, I'm not going to see. PayPal finally broke that 79 level, bit of a double top there. It's not a traditional double top, but it still is what it is. Remember, this is short sell restricted, so SSR is in play because of the dump job that it had yesterday. So I usually prefer longs on day 2 SSR. If you hold the prior low, that's what it did. Didn't get it, didn't get that, so we ended up taking the break. Overhead resistance is at 79.40, so scalp into 79.40, hold 20% for more than that. It's still, remember, no matter what it does today, just try to keep in mind what PayPal did yesterday. Like it was down, I forget the actual final percentage off the top of my head, but it was a big rejection of the 50-period moving average, a rejection of a 52-week high. So ultimately, I think this is like a little bit of a relief rally, not anything groundbreaking. And just to go back over to NVIDIA, it's trying to hold VWAP here. So you finally have made a test of VWAP. There's your bounce, at least initial bounce off 121.7. Like is to be able to clear out this 122 quarter and then try to catch it on the way back into the upside. So looking better, but it's not moving a heck of a lot anymore here on NVIDIA. Much better when it was like trending into the upside. Since you've broken that trend, the juice just isn't there. Like the tape is, when NVIDIA's going, the tape is just different. And when you've seen it, and right now it's not doing it on NVIDIA. That's the best way to put it. I was trying to articulate it another way, but that's just it. The tape is pretty dull on NVIDIA right now. So PayPal, we're trying to give it to this 179.4. We'll be out of 80% then, and then we'll look for a push higher. But legit overhead resistance from yesterday at that price.
Yeah, we've actually coined a term that you're looking for when I've been trading NVIDIA. It's going meme crazy.
There you go. That's
that numerous times, and you can really tell once it gets going. So yeah, you're 100% right on that one. I love when NVIDIA gets going. Okay, so we are gonna. So this is fine for us right now. Our average price is 43s. It's not like it's a decent amount of shares, but it's only because the price is $20. We're trying to give this 10. Well, now it's going to be 12 cents if it breaks higher. I don't expect too much slippage through that 55 area, but it looks like we could slap the L on this Intel trade because we had tried to get that reversion. It looks like it's not going to work out. We should have played strength. I mean, obviously, since we started shorting this, the market has been going up, but that's at the end of the day just an excuse because it is an upside push right now for Intel. So yeah, I talked about this. I'm actually long this in my own account, a little bit higher than this, sub 20, but in and around the 1980 mark. And I like it for a long-term hold, like 6 to 8 months. But obviously for right now, up 1% on the day. It doesn't look like the short will print out for us right there. But we do have a new position right here, and it is Apple. And yeah, this just popped right in. We said we were trying to short VWAP right there. So we did that. Like, VWAP has changed, but right into there, into 50. So we're going to see what winds up happening. There goes Intel. So we do have to, again, like what we talk about, celebrating our wins, our losses, all that. That's an L right there for Intel as it gives it back. So, it gets going back up to the upside. So it might have failed right there off the top again, and maybe we just wicked the top. So I'm debating, what, we can get back in at 53, 54, but not for too long. It's now oil is out right now, so we can find out what's going on right there. CL / here we go. The February contract should be what's going. No, I guess.
I think it's H. What's H?
Is it H? Okay, hold on a second. CL. H would be, March. Yeah, there it is. So let's go and have a quick little look to see what's going on right now. So oil down, good call there, down 1.5% and going a little lower right now as U.S. crude oil inventories have a build. Wow, a big build actually. 8.6 million versus 2.4. That's like a build of over 3.5 million barrels there. So that seems to be quite big of a build there, sending oil a little bit to the downside. So newest position is Apple right there, and we are back into Intel, seeing if it does break the top there. Adara has crypto, and I guess some numbers there with oil. Apple coming back in.
Yeah, it was just the build there. So crude oil, 8.664 million, as Sean mentioned. That as well be above the forecast of 1.9 million. It's also above the previous print here of 3.463 million. Gasoline inventory is also a build, and then a little bit of a decline here for these crude Cushing inventories and these distillate inventories. Now, though, we're going to talk some crypto. So Bitcoin, a little bit of a decline here. We've talked about the fact that we made this top on Inauguration Day, all-time highs above 109,000. We've had a little bit lower highs since then. Right now, though, it's interesting. We're really trying to hold on to that 98,000 level for BTC. But what about catalysts in this space? Well, we've heard a lot of price targets for Bitcoin. We actually got a very bullish one from Standard Chartered coming out here. Standard Chartered saying that they actually see Bitcoin reaching 500,000 by the end of Trump's term. They're saying that because Trump is in office, you have a little bit more pro-Bitcoin sentiment. They also are seeing a decrease in volatility because some of these regulations are going to allow it to be a more stable asset. The other thing here, too, that they said was going to be a pretty good look for Bitcoin is just the fact that we have these ETFs maturing. So ETF maturation and supposedly a little bit of stability, less volatility. Apparently a good look here for BTC USD to the point where Standard Chartered sees it reaching 200,000 by the end of 2025. So they're seeing about a doubling there in Bitcoin's price. Bitcoin right now basically flat on the day, hanging out around 98,000. Ethereum trying to hold on to, trying to get to 2,800, but XRP down in the day, Solana down in the day, BNB down in the day, Dogecoin down in the day, while Cardano is making a slight gain. So lots of discrepancies here. And I guess divergence in the performance for some of these crypto names, guys. Back to you.
Divergence. I like that.
Look, we just diverted ourselves on Intel, and we averted a mental breakdown because, like, we right there got taken out at the top. And then it just went whoops all the way back down. We got 43s and 44s. We put it back on. So Intel right there turns out to be a good one. And Neil, we do have another one on right now, and that's Uber. There it goes, man. We talked about what we were doing. Putting on 1 unit, then adding 3 more at the bottom. So there it goes, man. Uber going to be a top stock for us again on the day right there after one very, very simple trade in on Uber. And then, oh boy, were we 100%, 150% right there. Remember we said we were lost? We had an L on Apple today. No longer, man. It goes green into the account there as patience pays off one more time as Apple just comes crashing in there a little bit into 229 off of a 50-period short. So there we go, man. We are, that was an exciting little turnaround for us there, P&L wise, that is for sure. As we get a bump now, look at Uber, man. This is a monster trade there for Uber, man. And then honestly, the biggest position, well, I wouldn't say that. Probably my Palantir notionally was bigger, but one of the biggest positions for sure of the day was that Apple short right there. So printing on that, and yeah, let's see if we get some more outs here at 229.12, and then if we can fall in after that, then great. This market, though, it's above VWAP, above the 50-period moving average. So I actually,
higher for now.
Yeah, I'm going to take out a little bit more there. I punched some 19s there on Apple. Look, it's a 20-cent winner on a big boy. So we're pretty happy with that one. We'll have to wait to see what happens now with Intel and Uber. But yeah, man, woo, that was a little bit of a sigh of relief there.
Yeah, sigh of relief, and we actually bounced off 188 here on Alphabet. So it was an anchored from Brian Shannon. You look at the daily chart, it's going to be the same thing. It already broke trend. I'll zoom in. I don't want to do the zoom in, zoom out game, but that wick kind of messing things up. But I'm offering, as you can see, in front of 189 now on that bounce. In Alphabet, PayPal just came back in. 279, it wicked the bottom, so I got out, but then look at the wick that this put in here. That's a real one. Rejecting underneath that 79, so I just kind of jumped back into the trade, give it to the prior bar low. That's like 93, kind of a little bit lower than that, and then we'll play it back into the high. So it did legitimately wick out, but with that kind of a rejection, let's just get right back in at the 79 level. I guess maybe NVIDIA might be going. And then ACB, the weed stocks. Well, this one anyway, it's not the weed stocks in general, it's just ACB. Trending upside. Now all of a sudden it's got a pretty distinct day-long trend. How many times is it going to reject this high? If it loses the trend, get out, wait for VWAP. If the range on a $5 stock wants to be 510 to 535, then that's just it. And we'll get out if it breaks trend and try to get back in underneath VWAP on ACB, which for now is up 45% on the day. So shout out to well, anyone that bought it yesterday is probably the best way to think about it, because any other place you bought it, probably not all that good. I just heard something about Cassava Sciences. So just to recap, ACB starting to head back into the upside. Google, which was going, it's hard to see again unless I zoom way in, just pull right back to the $0.50. Alphabet holding that 188, but it's not taking that next dollar into 189 yet. Still think it has a pretty good chance to go. PayPal going, that one seeming fine. It's Alphabet long that I think is the one that is a bit of a concern, but Google looking okay. At least for me right now. I keep hearing Cassava Sciences, so I'm just going to go over to Kava. In my ear, I've now heard it 3 times, and no, it's not moving. Never mind. 3 times I heard this stock in my ear, and it's not doing anything.
No.
Oh, it's Sava. This guy put in Kava like an idiot. It's
yeah,
Cassava Sciences to the downside, but that's not really a lot of volume.
All right. All right. So Apple coming back in. Don't I have a 229 bid? Okay, here we go. Apple is making that move. Nicely done into the downside right now for Apple. I'm going to get something out because Uber just broke low there again. So Uber will be a relatively flat stock, slightly red on it right there.
Thank you.
Oh, wow. No, that's great. Thank you so much. I went and grabbed some, I've already been chugging this water. It's really dry around here. Obviously, especially with that weather outside. But there goes Uber, man. Honestly, today's going to be a green day, but we've given back, right now. We're back at basically our day goal again. So we've given back 50% sort of. As I know, Google's been red for both of us here today. That's gone through. Palantir, I think, is our biggest stock. And then Intel right now, I'm just going to wait. Unfortunately, it did take me out right there, and we were able to only make back 25% or so of the loss, and now we're still holding on to half of our reloaded position back into the short side. But to be honest with you, I would actually, with watching this Apple, even though I'm long Palantir, I am really exposed more to the short than the long. So let's just wait to see. And wow, look at that out on Uber, man. You got to take it when you get that. I don't really know what that was about. Maybe chasing falling knives here, especially on earnings days. We've learned our lesson there by turning red on Google, also on Uber, right? So Uber, though, we're not really red on. It's just, it does make that move down. So we are red on it. All right, here comes Intel again. So just talking before we go back over to Adara. Okay, so I am bidding 46s, believe it or not. So I was just going to go double check. So there you go. So there you go. We do have a bid. Took some out there at 46. Look, our day is now getting back in now because of this move down with Intel and with Apple. Our day all of a sudden seems to be much better. And that's the thing. Do not hold on to losers, right? We could celebrate our winners, but you want to celebrate discipline. And that's what we did right there. And that the discipline has kept us in this game for 20-something years. And, that's where we're here right now, being one of the head traders here, obviously, at Real Trading. So, all right, here we go to the downside right now. Intel, big move there. Google just came into 189 break long. So we took that long on the break of Google. Let's go back over to Neil or to Adara. Adara.
Listen up, traders. First month free. This part of the show is brought to you by eSignal. So that's right, eSignal is waiving fees. Trade smarter, not harder. Upgrade to Elite. Analyze, strategize, capitalize. Our platform, it's everything. Infinite data, instant trading, lightning fast market insights, game-changing charts predict with back testing, reliable real-time data, global markets at your fingertips. All in one platforms. Don't miss out. Execute your best trades now. And with that, I want to bring up Sava really quickly. I'm still not seeing any news on this. I'm not seeing anything on social media. The stock is actually very lightly discussed on social media. And by that, I mean pretty much not at all. But SAVA, the one thing that this one has is a 35% short vote. So that's the only thing I'm seeing here. If you heard it in your ear, Neil, I'm guessing it might have been just because of that move down, because sometimes when these stocks make these unexplained moves, they'll get dinged on social media or on some of these scanners. So SAVA, as of right now, it just seems like a drop to the downside on no particular catalyst. While we're here, we're going to do a quick sector watch because market trying to maybe go green here, and we have some sectors that are green, including finance, JPM, BRKB to the upside here. Health technology really strong, potentially here in a little bit of sympathy. We have Amgen earnings are up about 5%. We also had Novo Nordisk. And then Eli Lilly reports tomorrow morning, so keep an eye on them. Commercial services strong, utility strong, communication strong. Industrial services has some strength here as well. The weaker sectors here are actually a lot of these bigger tech sectors. So health services, not big tech, but to the downside here, consumer durables, pretty red. Retail trade, except for Walmart and Costco, pretty red here. Amazon likely trading lower in sympathy with Google's CapEx. And then speaking of Google here, this one dragging down the technology services, electronic technology a little bit mixed. With that in mind, back to the guys.
We just want to thank Dara for all that recap there. I just got some out at 189.20 there on Google. It's not going to work. That's why I'm getting excited. I'm not getting excited because it's not going to work. I'm getting excited because we actually able to get out there. This is breaking lower. There it is. So we are just out. That's actually a flat trade there again on Google. We tried the 50-period break long. Wow, lucky that look at these outs. Just as Adara, that was a real out, 189.20, and then it just fell 50 cents. This is why trading bigger shares on earnings days can be very, very dangerous. You have to be sitting there watching the stock and watching exactly what's happening at all times, right? Like that was a big difference. Like if I don't get out there, I still had half of the position, and it broke back down below. So overall, probably an L. I mean, I was red on Google before, so I'm still red, but still not that big of a difference maker right there. We were able to punch out like crazy right there at 1945. Those were the lows that we've had so far here on Intel. So we're just trying to get back to flat on this trade as we got stopped out early, but then reloaded it back in there on Intel with just a couple more minutes left. 18 minutes until we go back to the show, but Apple is the last straw. I don't think we'll average it in again. Let's just wait to see. I don't have any more bids. I want to wait to see if that goes to the downside. I see I still have an offer here on Tesla, $389.50.
You probably can cancel
I think I can cancel that. I just wanted to see where we got to. So we actually got as high as $388.50 right there off the open. So we missed that by $1. But yeah, Tesla, it's making a move back at least.
It's not unimportant. I've been in that situation where you have an order from the morning, you liked it on a pop, it never gets there, and you leave it in, and then you don't want that fill like sometimes at 2 or 3 in the afternoon. I'll get to ACB, I'll get to Google in a quick second because Sean just went over that. But SMCI, after all that, it's back to almost VWAP and trying to make a break of the trend. So it's all a bunch of red candles in here, looking like it wants to close out above the trend. It needs to break 3180, and then Google. Hopefully, I'm zoomed in enough. Not really. All right. So Sean already mentioned it tried to get through the 189, was unable to really hold that. Once it failed 189, stop went into the prior bar low on that candle, which is 188.5. I know that's hard to see, but the scaling is what it is. ACB is continuing to rally. We like this for the trend, and we're going to hold it until it reverts the trend. It's kind of going parabolic now. We had a shot at VWAP earlier, but now it's getting even more parabolic. Just to quickly go to a higher time frame, the reason I'm trending it out, it's now at like you're pretty much at the 200 period on the daily. There's that, and there's $6. I think either it holds on to this trend here, or we can get all the way to $6 on a bit of a squeeze play. Only 9% short float, but it's going anyways. ACB. Let's go to Adara again.
Yeah, we have here the news on Sava, which is now bouncing a little bit. They just announced here they're terminating their Alzheimer's treatment study. We know that this study was mired in a lot of controversy, and actually we had Pharma bro Martin Shkreli saying that there's no way possibly that their drug could work. SAVA, regardless here, that was the reason for the drop from what I can see, bouncing a little bit. This just populated for me now, guys. So SAVA terminating its Alzheimer's treatment study. Back to you.
So I know, and we joke about Martin Shkreli. He knows his stuff when reading reports on biopharma names. Like that's his specialty. So I think the quantum stuff, it is what it is.
Yeah, you would have gone bankrupt on quantum.
Yeah, but the biotech, he tends to know his stuff. Like that's where he knows his thing. And he called Sava. I remember when he was talking about Sava as a short. Like that ended up really right. So understand where analysts.
It's kind of like trading, right? I mean, it's like what we're doing. If you make enough calls, eventually you'll be known for one that works. And I mean, honestly, like that guy, when
he's Pharma bro, not Quantum bro, right?
I know. So stay in your lane is what I'm trying to tell the guy. And I don't know. I haven't tracked all of his plays like you have right there in the biotech space. But what I'm trying to say is that Rigetti, when it was absolutely tanking, he had a $0 price target on this one. And speak of the devil, we do have Oklo right now trying to go back upside as well. Breaking huge, man. Oklo, what a mover.
SMR.
Yeah, exactly. I know it's not quantum. I just said Oklo's starting to go upside right now, up 5 and a bit. SMR also. We do have a big reload happening. We didn't get we didn't get 50s there. Oh, that sucks. I was hoping that we would have got 50s on Intel there on a reload of that position. Google now back above 189. Apple, I guess, I'm just going to look at Apple. We only have 15 minutes left, before the big guys come through. But for right now, I'm going to get another bid at 09s on Apple. We just took a piece out there at 15. Yeah, and then mentioned to me there, Palantir was weak. I know, I'm in less than like 3% right now, and I just got a piece out right there. So we didn't hold that much back in, and I was actually just holding this because I'm trying to still get long at 101. So I'm trying to get long again down here with a 101 break. So if that breaks lower, then we are gone out of that play. That sucks. We just missed. Like, we actually had a decent amount back, even though it was only a 5-cent winner. We're only trying to hold this 5 cents against us on Intel. So Brendan brought us this name earlier, as well as some of these small cap names finally starting to move here later on in the day. Big Bear AI right now was moving from the jump. I mean, Brendan brought us this name at 9:30 or even earlier than that, and there it goes, man. Big Bear AI from 520 up to 620, a big middle finger candle right there. Boom, up to the upside, blowing up right now, Big Bear. And there's been a lot of people that have made some big plays on this, I feel like.
There's a chart on a small cap that looks different from what we're used to seeing when we talk about those small cap names. Like the whole down, and then you get like a little bit of a bounce, like the weed stocks. But that looks really good on Big Bear. I'm curious what the nuclear news is, because I saw SMR also breaking out of the high. But let me quickly go over PayPal and SMCI. So SMCI trended up, trending up. Twice it has broken trend. Downtrend should have had this long. It just broke trend again, so we jumped into long, gave it the prior bar low. PayPal did something pretty wild here. And if you're wondering, like, what is going on at PayPal at that price? Well, this is where there was a boatload of resistance in the afternoon that caught it into the fresh low. So the 79 long was trying to play into this 79.4, and it just failed it a second time. So the long on the stock has really just been 79. Well, unless you had it early, the late long has been 79 into 79.4, and that's all you get. Now you're heading right back in on this name. So we're into SMCI. We're still in ACB, but that alphabet, it's hard to see, but it wicked me out on that prior bar. So I had 34s long. I got trailed out at 46. And it goes right back above the 189. So obviously this one stunk all day today, despite even having the low. Still around the stock, even though I had the low of the day, because it just wicked me out the chance to make it back. Let's go to Adara again.
We're going to talk about the US dollar. Before we do that, though, I do want to mention this nuclear stuff. I couldn't find any news, so I went to look through what people are saying on social media, and there's a lot of discussion about this, specifically OCLO getting a lot of tags here. People basically saying that there's apparently some call sweeps happening with OKLO is kind of what I'm seeing, so it looks like some options excitement. And when I say people are talking about this, I mean there are multiple tweets per minute taking OKLO. SMR, not as much interest at all, so OCLO seems to be the one that people are really looking at here. The others seem to be moving in sympathy. The other thing I always want to mention with these nuclear names as well is the massive short flows. So for something like OKLO, SMR, NNE, we're all talking at least 10 to 15% short floats. OCLO and SMR definitely in that 20% plus range. NNE is a little bit lower. We're going to take a look at the US dollar because we've talked a little bit over the last few days about the downtrend. And I put up the 15-minute chart because I just think it really shows the epic fall of this currency. So we had this gap up actually both Monday and yesterday, and we're not able to sustain it. We know there have been some concerns with tariffs, because keep in mind, we entered the week thinking that there would be immediate tariffs for both Canada and Mexico by the US. Then by the end of the day on Monday, both of those have basically said they're going to be delayed for a month, right? And then now we have some uncertainty with China. The fact that Trump says he's in no rush to call Xi also shows that we're not going to get resolution on this for a while either. So it looks like there will be some continued uncertainty in tariff land, sending the US dollar to the downside. If you take a look at this daily chart as well, this is not a great look. We're hanging out right at this previous resistance, turn support at 107.40. We'll have to see what happens here, but this seems like quite a dangerous area for the DXY to be hanging out right in right now, guys. A little bit of a bearish look for the first time since basically end of September. Back to you.
Okay, thank you, Adara, but we got reloaded. So the only thing that we've been doing right now recently is obviously we're watching out for that Intel trade, but we just got more shares here on Apple as it came right in to our level again. And our stop is 61s. We talked about that. So 229.50 is where we're short right now. 229.48 just ahead of 50. So this is now about 17 cents in the money. So I am starting to get out. We have about a little bit more than half left right now. Still could be, I'm going to put another bit at 30s. There it is. So we are slightly getting out of this position. I do have a bit in the teens. See if we can pull this thing back in for us on Apple. What a funny day today, honestly. I don't, take this day lightly. It was not the easiest day. I mean, and I think I got a little bit sidetracked. Like, look at Uber right now. This should be a 40-cent winner, right? We stopped out, and I'm kind of glad we did, but it goes down to 70s there and then pops back up. So good that we got stopped out at O's and didn't wind up losing anything, but now it's 50 cents in the money. You know, Palantir, again, like, was a great trade, and this is going to be a big trade. Not as much as made yesterday, but a good back-to-back day 2 play. That just came up to VWAP. Feel like we could have done better getting out there and or reloading it here. So that was a potential problem. But Apple right now it's going to take over P&L too, obviously, but at the same time, like, this could break higher. If the futures want to take 21.6, I just feel like if we're going to look at the triple Qs right now, because we're off the show pretty soon, you know, this can get going right back up to here on the Qs. And I think that, you know, a break of 525 really sends the market through here. And then we've already had bad earnings, apparently, right? From Microsoft, from Google, from Apple. Like, they've all now been absorbed into this market that we see every day. So now we just have to look forward. If the earnings are in the rearview mirror, then what's still to come? We still got Amazon and some names that I know the market likes. So we'll have to wait to see now what's happening. And even right now, look at Apple just pulling back upside here. I feel like this market, and we started the day a little redder than where we were right now.
Nuclear names are still going. This is
okay. Yeah, Neil on the nuclear names. They're going apparently nuclear.
That's 100% nuclear.
Yeah, crazy.
So SMR here, just to contextualize this.
Apple's
it already went $1.40 from the bottom and then broke out this local high at, of course, 24.20, because why not 420?
Yep.
And then look at the gap that it has. It's a huge gap, another 10% higher in Oklo. I want to see when they report. Neither one of these report anytime soon. OKLO at the end of the month. But this is a bigger break on OKLO, just by a little bit. But look at this move. Like, it's just continuing to go higher and higher and higher. I love the nuclear names myself, but a little surprised to see this much action. Let me just go back over to SMCI, because we took this one off of that VWAP reversion on SMCI. It's running into trouble. He's gone. There was a refresher at $32. So the difference between a refresher and like an iceberg order or just a massive size order, like, it would actually print the level, and then someone would just throw orders back on that are really small, like a few hundred shares here, maybe 1,000 shares. They would print it all, and they just come back. So it was kind of holding it up at 32, but it's now just blown through it. So revert in, revert out. If it's going to be trend down, if it does anything, and I don't think it'll be this parabolic the third time, but if it reverts any kind of a trend like this, I would get out of that trade. ACB still looks good. Got to figure out a way to get into these nuclear names. And I got away from AMD. Oh, ACB just trailed out. I got away from AMD, which I think was a good thing. We're shorting it at VWAP. It broke VWAP. It's now getting to that high. So the actual high is 108.70. If it reverts trend at 108.70, I would look for another short. But I had to be patient. If it's not going to hold VWAP under, then I wait for the actual high of the day. And then last one, we only have 5 minutes to go. What a morning. ACB just broke its trend back in. So if it held VWAP before, let's look to try to buy the dip off VWAP again. Let it make the bottom, buy the dip off VWAP, and see if we can get a hold into the high of the day one more time. There. Thoughts on Rivian, says Daniel, and Felipe asking about Meta specifically. I know my answer on Rivian already, $12. So it's not doing anything today, but the reason I can say that without looking at the chart is because I've seen the chart. So actually a breakout could happen here, maybe do like 13 change. But $12 has been like the buy zone recently on Rivian. And on a downward trending stock, usually you want to catch the low, ideally.
Yeah, cash that trade outside. Okay, so I just all right. So Apple, by the way, good outs. Like, Apple right now is cruising to a new high. Right now, I feel like it's going to take out this 230. We almost just did right there. So out at that 229.60 break, we talked about that. And now that 230.60 comes into play now. I mean, Apple was beat up. It was one of the red names there today. Fighting that trend now might have just stopped in and around that level there of 230. But the futures are just right now topping out Let's see, 21.6. We're kind of at these levels that we had just talked about. This could be a nice run now northbound here for the NASDAQ. So be very, very aware and capable that this could be a break long right now. We're 4 cents out on Intel. We're going to give it a little bit more room to the upside because, again, just don't want to stop out immediately on this trade, but there it is. So our best ins has been 60s, it looks like right here. I just took a 50. Was that a 58 or a 59 I just took there as an average price? I just took some more 58s there on Intel. So giving it a chance to work its way back into the 50s again. If that can happen, good on us, but no guarantees of that as we fight that stupid news story there about, not stupid, only because I'm short. It's great if you're long. The Chinese, their supercomputer, quantum computing. One thing that we didn't get yesterday was, of course, what is for
This
lunch.
looks very promising.
Yes.
Very promising.
Very important there. It is today. Pretty good, I think. Could be good, yeah. Indian spiced chicken drumsticks with a cucumber raita. Must be some kind of a sauce, I guess. Steamed basmati pilaf with snap peas and umami dressing.
Good.
We'll wait to see, but that should be good. I just wondering I ran into the delivery guy today and he's like, "Oh, hi Sean, how's it going?" I was like, pretty good, not too bad. How are you? And he said, great. And then he told me, he said, "Oh, don't worry. I told the boss, I guess that's the chef there, that you like tuna on your salad." So I was like, "All right, thank you." And so we'll see what comes through today. I don't remember telling him that, but I'm guessing he might have got it from our lady of Lunchland there. Okay, so right now, Intel does make a little bit of a pullback in. I am bidding a little bit at 55s, not that much. I just trying to basically absorb some of this pain so far here on Intel. Would love a move back in, and we do have a position right now. It's too bad because Apple actually gives us that whole pullback. So we get stopped out, and look what Apple's doing right now. Tanking, basically, like 230 down, 70 cents straight down there for Apple. I just wish Intel would do that. But we'll wait to see now what's going on with Intel. So shout out to our caterer as it's been pretty. I've been pretty happy with things lately, so all good on that front. Sorry, I was looking at Apple, but it's Intel right now that's on my mind. Looking for 55s, and my next bid after that is 50s, and then we're into the low 40s to see what happens with that one. But that is what's for lunch. We haven't had the menu in a couple days.
And we're happy to bring that to you, and hopefully our salad is going to be delicious because we don't get that spiced chicken drumsticks, which sounds so incredibly good. We'll probably get some
you get one, my
egg
guy.
salad. No, I'm gonna steal one off the tray, but the egg salad that I'm probably gonna end up with my salad is gonna be tasty as well. So
You're gonna borrow one. We'll put it back next time.
Yeah, let me hold a drumstick. You know what I'm saying? I have no issues with that. There's always plenty. I joke about it, but we always get some.
What's the algo boy?
The algo group does eat a lot of food. You're right, Sharif.
There's two of them, and it's they eat for 40.
Yeah, well,
plus Brancos. Remember when Captain Protein
when Baxter was here, he wasn't messing around either.
I told Baxter, eat everything, man. How do you think I want to pay for his food?
Sean Sum was in the algo room as well. And let's just say that when he was here, you wanted to make sure you got your lunch quick. I'm just throwing that. He's a growing boy. I don't begrudge anybody. Get that, get it in, man, when you're growing. It's 11 o'clock already. If AMD fails, it's not the high of the day per se because pre-market it was all the way at 110, but it is right up at that top. And I was just in and out flat on a trend break, but it didn't break the trend. I don't know what I was seeing on my chart, but it didn't break the trend. So I just got in and out, punched in and out, paid actually the spread and some fees. But if we fail this high and come back under, it'll be a trend reversal for me on AMD. It is 11 o'clock. They are the Bash. What? They are the Bash Brothers. It is Sharif. It is Showy Options. Go get them, boys. It is Midday Madness and Learn to Trade.
No.